ni Governor Manuel Mamba. Welcome po sa members ng media, welcome po sa mga miyembro po ng provincial official down ng provincial government, mga department heads natin, mga iba't iba pong mga barangay captains ng Tugigaraw na nagsadya po dito, mga consultants po ng ating buting governor, siyempre ng ating pong mga kasama dito po sa media, dito po sa Cagayan. Welcome po sa ating press conference with Governor Manuel Mamba at tulad po ng nakasaad sa aming imbitasyon sa inyo dahil ho sa mga pressing issues and concerns na ngayon ay nakaamba sa ating pong probinsya, minarapat po ng Office of the Governor, lalong-lalo ng ating Governor Manuel Mamba na magpatawag po ng press conference para ihapag po sa inyo kung ano po ang kasalukuyang kalagayan ng ating pong lalawigan sa gitna ng mga issue, partikular sa usapin po ng patuloy na pagkakapinpin o hindi na talaga pagpasa sa 2017 budget at iba pang mga issues. Bago po tayo magsimula, pakinggan po muna natin ang mensahe, opening message ng ating butihing Governor Manuel Mamba. Magandang umaga po sila.
Maraming salamat, Lordie. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. Members of the media, dito, mga bisita natin, mga capital officials, sa Mindanao City, at mga ibang mga opisyalis, mga towns. Ganun din po, department heads, almost all of them, I think, nandito rin lahat, yung some of the consultants of the provincial government, ito mga sa Pilipinas. Anyway, I prepared a press statement. Gusto ko lang basahin ito, bago tayo lumang sa siguro ng mga katanungan nyo. And I know na na-distribute din sa inyo yung answer ko doon sa response natin doon sa resolution nila. Giving back to NDIP sa ating opisina. Anyway, I submitted the 2017 executive budget to sa Binyang Palalawigan on February 19, 2017 and the PDIP on January 20, 2017. In Sangguniang through Vice Governor returned the same on January 24, 2017 because according to them, it lacked the 2017 annual investment plan. So on January 27, 2017, my office transmitted the 2017 executive budget, PDIP, and the AIP to the Sangguniang Palalawigan for the enactment of the 2017 General Appropriation Ordinance. On April 3, 2017, just a few days ago, my office received a copy of Sangguniang Palalawigan Resolution Number 2017-9-329, dated March 22, remanding the Local Development Investment Plan of the provincial government to the Provincial Development Council for appropriate action. The remand by the Sangguniang of the PDIP to the PDC is not provided under the budget process. The remand can only mean two things. First, it is an indication of the impending disapproval of the Sangguniang of the 2017 budget of the provincial government. Or second, it is tantamount to disapproval of the provincial government's 2017 budget. As Chief Executive of this province and Chairman of the Provincial Development Council, I address the issues and concerns raised by Sangguniang Palalawigan point by point in a letter that was transmitted to them early today. Let it be said that I failed to make any proposed project, program, or activity open for scrutiny by the people of Cagayan. Least of all, the members of the Sangguniang Palalawigan. It has always been transparent. Lahat na gusto natin mangyari, nakapaloob lahat. It has always been transparent since the website. I was elected highest official of this province by Cagayanos, who have been yearning for a leader that can reform the provincial government bureaucracy and its institutional systems. I have not, and I will not compromise my advocacy for a good and visionary governance. While I knew early on that majority of the membership of Sangguniang Panlalawigan are not my political allies, I hope that they will nevertheless appreciate the noble purpose of the Provincial Development Investment Plan, since it was unanimously approved, I say again, by the Provincial Development Council, whose membership include all local chief executives of the city and local government units or the municipalities of the province, including the Sangguniang Panlalawigan itself, represented by the Vice Governor. With the remand of the PDIP to the PDC, the provincial government is prepared to operate under an enacted budget for 2017. All heads of the department and offices, including those of the 12 hospitals, are hereby directed to prepare for a reenacted budget. Under a reenacted budget, only the personal services, statutory and contractual obligations, the continuing appropriations, and the essential operating expenses, or MOOE, authorized under the 2016 annual budget and supplemental budget, if any, are deemed reenacted. The most glaring consequence of a reenacted budget is that the provincial government cannot implement new programs, projects, and activities, whether infrastructure or non-infrastructure. We cannot implement recurring activities, no matter how vital they may be. We cannot utilize the increase in our internal revenue allotment for 2017, and we cannot pass a supplemental budget despite a savings of 1,172,737,950.25. First time in the history of this province that we had such amount, more than $1 billion of savings. To better understand the consequence to the provincial government's development agenda, let me list down the PPAs and their fate under an enacted budget.
Given that only the PPAs under 2016 are allowed, under the social sector, we will be able to implement the public health program, the nutrition program, social welfare development program, local population and development program, physical fitness and sports development, comprehensive livelihood emergency employment program, special program for the employment of students or the summer job, gender and development program, and development assistance to local government units only at 2016 level. However, let me correct myself. The GAD program worth 1,875,218, as well as the financial assistance to barangays in the amount of 410 million cannot be implemented. This falls within the No Barangay Left Behind program of the governor, giving 500,000 to each of the barangays for the year 2017. Under the economic sector, we will be able to implement under the Agricultural Development Program, PPAs worth 3,500,000, and under the Tourism Promotions and Development Program worth 5 million. Culture and the arts development, animal productions in provincial farms, and extension services and animal health, environment and forest management programs can only be implemented up to the 2016 levels, meaning there's no increase in the funds for these programs. For the general public sector, we will be able to implement the Peace and Order program only up to 24 million and not the proposed 45 million pursuant to the thrust of the national government against anti-illegal drugs and other criminalities. Local governance and institutional development programs, AGAW, Cagayan, planning and information technology development can only be implemented up to 2016 levels. monitoring and evaluation programs, public information programs, revenue generation program, which is very important insofar as the quarry operations are concerned, can only be implemented up to 691,000 vis-a-vis the proposed 5.2 million allocation. Under the legal service program, it can only be implemented up to 2.5 million. As to the general revision of assessment and property classification, under the Office of the Provincial Assessor, this is relevant to the collection of real property taxes. We cannot implement this in the amount of 10 million. Capability building for employees cannot be implemented. And the repair of the Provincial Engineer's Office building can also not be implemented. In total, the amount that can only be implemented is 563,469,000.
The non-implementation of major and visionary infrastructure projects in the province will cause significant delay in Cagayan's economic, tourism, and social development. But I am not without hope, as I know that we have a very supportive national government that can address some of our major infrastructure needs. As to the operation of my primary local governance initiatives, namely the People's Day, the Task Force Liquid Bayan, Quick Response Team, the Provincial Office for People Empowerment, and the Quarry Checkers, as well as those of the 12 hospitals that the province is currently maintaining, I will ensure their continued operation in the same way that the Executive Department has effectively managed to do since the second semester of 2016. Despite the handicap of the enacted budget that the Sangguniang Panlalawigan wants the provincial government to operate under my department, the Executive Department will ensure that the basic services we have so far provided our people will continue. Cagayanos deserve no less. However, I would like to point out that during the last Provincial Health Board meeting, it was raised that to comply with the Department of Health hospital licensing requirements, the province needs to supplement the hospital augmentation allocation for job order hospitals personnel by another 20 million pesos. With an enacted budget, the supplemental appropriations is not possible. At present, the Governor's Office is already accommodating 169 job order hospital personnel whose contracts would no longer be accommodated under the appropriations for hospital augmentation. With earnings from PhilHealth especially accepted its utilization for salaries and wages, the Provincial PhilHealth Trust Fund could not be utilized for that purpose. The dire consequence of failing to supplement the budget for hospital augmentation for job order hospital personnel is that there is not enough funds under the Governor's Office to pay the salaries of all 169 job order hospital personnel for the entire year. In which case, these contracts may not be renewed. Non-renewal of the contracts will result in the province's failure to comply with the DOH personal requirement for licensing, in which case, the hospitals may lose some of our hospitals may lose their license to operate. Given this worst case scenario, I have directed the province local finance committee to meticulously review and find ways on how we can address present issue or to mitigate its consequences. As governor and father of the province, I will not allow that the interests of only a few override the general welfare of our people. I took an oath to fairly and appropriately exercise the powers, rights, and prerogatives of my office, renounce and suppress all forms of graft and corrupt practices in government, and consecrated myself to public service. I have presented my vision for Cagayan, and the people accepted it when they elected me governor and the highest official of this province. I have presented my vision and agenda to a council of my peers, the Provincial Development Council, and they have accepted it unanimously. As public official, we cannot play God with the people's money or the people's welfare, and yet hide behind television screens and radio waves. At the end of the day, we are all answerable to the people and to the people alone. Now, may I also tell you, yung infrastructure projects for 2017 that will never be implemented or cannot be implemented because of the non-passage of our budget. Ito, yung mga concreting o some of our provincial roads. The Binalan Road in Apari West, worth 40 million, will not be implemented. The Dalayan Road, concreting in Bugay, 10 million, will not be implemented. Bugay-Minanga Road in Bugay, 20 million will not be implemented. San Jose, San Francisco, Imurong Road in Baglao, 20 million will not also be implemented. Abusa, Dalin, Santa Margarita Road in Baglao, 20 million will not also be implemented. Anlakapan, Anlig Road in Anlakapan, 16 million will not be implemented. Kabaggan at Tupakan Road in Pamplona, 16 million. Pinpila, Danaili Road in Abulog, 16 million will not also be implemented. Piat Kato Apayaw Road in Piat, 10 million will not also be implemented. The completing of the Enrile Santa Maria Road of 15 million will not also be implemented. Bawan Dasun Road in Solana of 10 million will not also be implemented. Tawi Canlao Road in Peñablanca, 10 million. Bacolod Lagna Road in East Amulong will not also be implemented, 10 million pesos. Bacolod San Jose Road in Igig, 10 million will not also be implemented. The storm protection along Enrile Santa Maria Road in Enrile, 5 million will not also be implemented. The rehabilitation of the Tawid Bridge worth 7,774,698 pesos will not also be implemented. For public buildings, the completion of the LAP Center in San Gabriel of 2 million will not also be implemented. The development assistance for local government and cities and municipalities, or no municipality left behind. Sa Abulog, completing of provincial road, Dugo, Bagyan, Span, 3 million will not be also implemented. Ito yung mga ibibigay natin na 3 million sa bawat town. And ito yung mga proposal nila. And most of these are on their own municipal or farm-to-market roads. Sa Alcala, construction of the vocation center in Barangay Pagbankerwan will not be implemented. 3 million. Construction of multipurpose building at Matutay and Nakapan, 3 million will not also be implemented. In Abulong, rehabilitation of municipal gym at Centro Abulong, 3 million will not also be implemented. Concreting of the Maura, Pagdaya Road, Zone 4, Pagdaya Apari, 3 million will not also be implemented. Construction of multipurpose vocation center at Bacgao will not also be implemented. In Ballesteros, concreting of Bonifacio Cortes Street of 3 million will not also be implemented. In Bogay, purchase of equipment for residual waste processing of 3 million will not also be implemented. In Calayan, concreting of Pabuyang Claro West, 1 million, and concreting of Sitio Kasayan Farm to Market Road of 2 million will not also be implemented. Kamalanyugan, construction of modern slaughterhouse, Barangay Julian, 3 million will not also be implemented. In Claveria, concreting of Maria Bilibigaw Road, 3 million will not also be implemented. In Enrile, construction of drainage canal in Enrile, Cagayan, 3 million will not also be implemented. Kataran, concreting of farm to market road, 3 million will not also be implemented. Gonzaga, construction of drainage system at Poblacion Gonzaga, 3 million. Igig, concreting of Minanga Norte and Minanga Sur Road, 3 million. Danlo, concreting of road at Barangay Loca, 3 million. Gasam, concreting of Barangay Road of Magsaysay Lasam, 3 million. Pamplona, concreting of Tabagan Provincial Road, 3 million. Concreting, Pinablanca, concreting of the portion of Eagle and Militan Main, Barangay Road, 3 million. In Piat, concreting of farm to market road, Santa Barbara, 1 million. Concreting of farm to market road, Maguiping, 1 million. Concreting of farm to market road, Bumarueng, 500. Concreting of farm to market road in Makapil, 500,000. In Rizal, concreting of a road going to Poblacion Cemetery, 3 million. Sanchez Mira, completing of road to Dagiray, 500,000, Bagacan, 500,000, completing of Masisip, 1 million, and completing of Santor, 1 million. Santa Ana, construction and completing of road, 3 million. Santa Praxedes, installation of Santa Praxedes water system, 3 million. Santa Teresita, completing of Villa Duñeg Provincial Road, 3 million. In Santo Niño, construction of 2-barrel box culvert, 1 million, and completing or paving of Manulani Road, new, 2 million. In Solana, completing of Dilanap and Narayan Road, 3 million. In Tuaw, construction of multi-purpose building in Tato, Tuaw, 3 million. And to Biograo, pump site, 3 million. For a total of 87 million pesos. For a total, all of this infrastructure will have a total of 403,544,000. Yung PRTP naman natin, this is a counterpart para sana sa Donggaw na Siking Road plus yan mo pangapila 74,770,000 hindi na rin matutuloy. That means yung Nasiking Donggaw Road wala na rin yun. Bridge. Supposed to be 90% magagaling sa World Bank, 10% lang sa atin. Since ayaw nilang bigyan ng pondo, wala na rin. So these are the things na hindi magyayari because all of these things ayaw kaya na sabi ng pangalawitan. Now, as far as their resolution, meron naman kayong answer namin, no? Point by point, answer namin lahat ito. I could read it if you want. Haba-haba lang. Siguro, I will read it para kapag natin. This is stated to 2011-2017. The members is a pinapalalawigan at Cagayan Province through Melvin Vargas Jr., Assembly Officer. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Provincial Development Council, allow me to address the issues and concerns raised by the legislative body through resolution number 2017-9-329, dated March 22, 2017, and received in this office on April 3, 2017. Resolution remanding the Local Government Investment Plan, or the LGIP, calendar year 2017 to 2022 of the Provincial Government of Cagayan with the Sangguniang Panalawigan's findings, observations, and recommendations to the Provincial Development Council through its chairman, the Honorable Governor Manuel Mamba, for proper action. So, nag-raise sila ng, I think, 15 points dito. And I want you to note the response coming from us. Regarding the Provincial Development Council Resolution number 1, series of 2016, the presumption that the Provincial Development Council Resolution number 1 is an output of what the executive and the legislative departments arose from the unanimous, I say again, unanimous approval by the Council of said resolution. Pagpuntuhan namin ito, walang object ni Asam. The chairman of the Sangguniang Panalawigan Committee on Finance and Appropriation, si Vice Governor Melvin Vargas, not having raised any objection or reservation thereto during both the PDC, Execom, and PDC and Bank Council meetings. I believe that the purpose of the mandatory membership of the Legislative Department of the PDC gives meaning and relevance to participatory planning, such that every member is given the precise venue to air any and all of their concerns so that the body may collectively address them. It is unfortunate, though, that by the failure to productively utilize the council meeting to air the Appropriations Committee Chairman's priorities or concerns, or air those of his colleagues in the Sangguniang Panalawigan the proposed LDIP was disapproved by this body, referring to the Sangguniang Pangalawigan. It may also be pointed out that the LEDAC is a creation of Republic Act 7640. Kasi palagi rin sinasabi yun, wala daw LEDAC, wala daw LEDAC. I want you to know what the LEDAC is. The LEDAC is a creation of Republic Act 7640 to act as an advisory council to the President of the Republic. The President of the Republic, and applies only to national government. On the other hand, the executive legislative agenda, yung ELA, sinasabi nila, is a planning document that is ideally agreed upon by the executive and legislative bodies of the LGU. The executive agenda articulates the program of government of the executive department. When we talk of executive department, we talk of the governor and the department heads. Contains the major development thrust of the administration and lists down the priority, program, projects, and activities, policies, and implementing mechanisms to be pursued by the executive, underscoring the needed legislative measures to support it. On the other hand, the legislative agenda is a package of priority policies and legislative measures designed to support the local development priorities, particularly those contained in the executive agenda. The executive agenda, akin yun. Hindi na nila, akin. No? It is a list of prioritized. The legislative agenda is a list prioritized ordinances and resolutions for enactment which can be used to focus the work of the legislature and synchronize and converge legislative actions with the executive agenda priorities. From the very beginning, the executive department has always had Agenda 2025 as its EA or as its Bible. Palaging sinasabi ko since the time na nakakampanya ako, nakaprepare na yung aking agenda ng pupuko. And that is my Bible up to now. The LDIP or the PDIP, the Local Development Investment Plan, or the Provincial Development Infrastructure Plan, CAI, this was taken from the Agenda 2025, and considering the rebuilding and rehabilitation efforts post-Super Typhoon Lawin, lays down the EA for 2017 to 2022. Remember this, meron tayong priority on, pero nung dumating yung Lawin, parang kahit sino sa atin naman, magkasakit ka at lahat, mag-iiba lahat yung priorities mo. Imbes na gagastusin mo sana, napupunta ng Hong Kong at magkasakit ka, gagastusin mo pang hospital mo. The priorities changes every now and then. Hindi static pa priorities na kahit sino. Sadly, given the Sangguniang Pangalawigan's approval of the LDIP, it has been quite clear that the body has not formulated its legislative agenda in support of this administration's major development trust, despite observation of the mandatory requirements of the PDC. Because the Provincial Development Council is mandatory. Kung sinasabi nilang LETA is not mandatory. Kaya nga tayo ng Barangay Development Council, Municipal Development Council, tapos naman sila dito. Ang nag-a-attend ko, hindi ordinary tao, chairman and planning officers of the Provincial Development, of the Municipal Development Council, including the City Development Council, ang kausap natin sa PDC. Kaya kahit tayo ng Regional Development Council, kahit output naman natin dito, dadaling din naman natin sa artist. That's how important the development councils are. And this is mandatory under the law. Yung LETA sa national yun. Your second issue regarding the DNLG concise and illustrative guide for the preparation, review, monitoring, and updating of the comprehensive development plan or the CDP, and the Local Development Investment Plan, or the LDIP. As local chief executives in their respective municipalities, I am quite sure that all 29 mayors and 29 local planning development coordinators of the province are very much aware of these guidelines. For the provinces, we adopt a voluminous guidelines on provincial, local planning and expenditure management. These are sets of guidelines which most, if not all, provincial government units have yet to perfectly adapt. Among numerous programs, projects, and activities, the body singled out the Peace and Order Program. The Peace and Order Program with a program amount of 45 million. Sabi nila, napakataas daw nito. Siguro dapat reviewin nila kung saan galing yung 45 million na yun. While at first glance, there is indeed an increase in the program amount, the purpose and source of funding of the PPAs indicated therein should have also been considered. Ang hirap sa kanila, hindi sila marunong magbasa ng budget. 2017 is the first time that the province came up with the Peace and Order and Public Safety Plan, or the POPS plan, the formulation of which was spearheaded by the DILG Provincial Office and based on a memorandum circular number 2015-128 dated November 2, 2015. The POPS plan consolidates into one plan, regardless of the source of funds, all the PPAs pertaining to peace and order and public safety. So the other items of expenditures, like the security services, itong security natin, nandiyan ngayon, tingnan nyo naman, papasok nyo dito, under the executive department are integrated into the POPs na sinasabi natin. The wisdom behind adopting the Peace and Order Program was submitted before the PDC members, majority of whom are chairman of the respective local Peace and Order councils, and adopted it again unanimously. It may be worthy to mention that from 2007 to 2016, noong panahon ng last administration, the amount allocated for confidential funds, ito yung confidential funds, tinatawag nila noon na intelligence funds, alone was more or less 253,085,000 for 9 years ito. No? For an annual average of for 10 years of 25,308,000 annually. Yun yung intelligence fund nila, yung confidential fund nila, which is higher than the one we are proposing. We are proposing 15 million lang po. Much lower than 25 million for the last 10 years, every year. And lower by 600,000 compared to the 15 million 600,000 allocation 10 years ago. 10 years ago, yun yung kinuha namin, 15 million, lower pa. Dahil 10 years ago, 15,600,000 na. Siguro kailangan i-study nila ito ng gusto bago sila magsalita. With the trust of the President of the Republic against fight against illegal drugs and criminality, the PDC is duty-bound to respond to His Excellency's call. The peculiarity of being a chief executive is the power to determine the direction that the LGU will take in the foreseeable future, and the duty to adapt through contingencies. Local governance is never clear-cut as this body may assume it to be. Unfortunately, understandably, that is why development agendas and priority PPAs are not the business of the legislative to determine, but that of the executive. Now, regarding the provincial ordinances, sabi nila, may dalawang ordinances na pinasa sila na hindi namin lagyan ng order. A thorough review of said ordinances is necessary to determine the specific sources of funds. Therefore, certified as available by the local finance committee. Any ordinance for that matter that requires funding, kailangan sabihin mo kung saan yung source of fund. Hindi ka pasa ng pasa, wala ka namang kukunan ng pondo. Diba? Hindi, borne na gustuhan mo, saan natin kukunin yung pondo? Dapat sabihin mo sa atin kung nasaan, hindi sila pasa ng pasa. Failure to satisfy this requirement would render them inoperative. In any case, its inclusion to the LDIP, right? Or the supplemental LDIP. Remember this. We have 2.2 billion for budget sa 2017. Meron pa kami piniprepare na supplemental budget. Alam niyo magkano? 1.172 billion. Meron pa nga 2.2. Meron pa 1.6. Kaya hindi ko maintindihan. Another subject of the SP Committee on Appropriation failed to raise before the PDC and Bank for approval. Di ba nila ni-raise ito? Nakalimutan nila pala maglalay sa aming source of funds na gagamitin sa mga ordinances na pinasabi. You should have raised it. Now, issue number 4. The LDIP or the PDIP vis-a-vis the PDPFP. The PDPFP, the Provincial Development and Physical Framework Plan, was constituted to address the sectoral and spatial disconnect in provincial plans. Sa atin lang ito, this is something you could learn from. Sana nandito sila, hindi sila nagbara sa na-lecturean sila. Kahit napaka-importante na bago tayo magsalita, hanapin muna natin paano ito mga PDP, PDIP, KIP, bakit ginawa ito mga ito? Diba? The Provincial Development and Physical Framework Plan was constituted to address the sectoral and spatial disconnect in provincial plans by merging the PDIP or the Provincial Development and Investment Plan and the PPFP or the Provincial Physical Framework Plan. With population, economic activity, and physical resources are core elements and using basic planning logic. The PDPFP identifies the strategies and the corresponding programs, projects, and activities that serve as primary inputs to investment programming, budgeting, and implementation. The PDPFP is a 6-year medium-term development plan guided by a long-term vision with the first 3 years aligned with the priorities of the government. The PDPFP is updated to take into account recent development thrust of the new governor. Bear this in mind, there's a new governor. On this note, the proposed update for the PDPFP to embody Kaganda 2025 is currently being prepared by the Executive Department for presentation before the PDC for approval. In the meantime, it may be relevant to point out that while the PDIP should emanate from the PDPFP, additional PPAs identified as a result of unforeseen circumstances, katulad ng natural disaster natin, yung super typhoon Lawin, may be included in updating the PDIP or the annual investment plan. Kaya nga merong 3 years, merong yearly, para nakaka-adjust ka. Sabi ko nga, kung bibili ka sana ng bahay mo at nabaon-baon ka sa utang, hindi mo muna bibili yung bahay mo. Pag-change ka. Kaya nga, yearly, meron daw tayong KIP. Diba? We have a vision, a long-term vision. But all of these things, hindi static ito, change ito as you go along. The circumstances changes also. Katulad na yun, diba? Ang laki-laki ng quarry collection natin. Sa natin gagamitin yung mag-change na naman. Diba? Kung wala ka rin collection, mag-change din naman. Diba? Kung nagkakaso-kaso ka, at nagkamutang-utang ka, mag-change din naman. So, hindi pwede mag-change natin ito. Gusto nila, yun na lang ng yun. So, para sa akin, these are all nitpicking. Naghahanap ng rason para hindi i-approve. At humihingi ng hindi ko may bibigay. The AIP constitutes the annual slice of the PDIP. Diba? May PDIP ka, pero annually, the implementation of is through the AIP. And it changes also, including the priorities. So, or the indicative yearly expenditure requirements of the LGU's PPAs to be integrated into the annual budget. It is updated annually to take into account the changes in the priority programs, projects, and activities due to revised provincial, regional, national priorities. Hindi lang yun, fiscal situation. And hindi lang yun, unforeseen events to the budgeting process. Ergo, while the PDIP should emanate from the PFP, it is clear that the planning and budgeting process actually accommodates the PPAs under the PDIP that are not within the PFP due to changes in priorities, fiscal situations, and unforeseen events. A stark contrast. Iba yung paningin nila dito. Hindi ko alam kung paano yung gusto nilang sabihin. Para sa akin, all these priorities changes because there are unforeseen events, because our fiscal situation, because of the priorities that need to be changed also along the way. If indeed consistency is the primordial goal of the legislative branch, it should have also remanded other annual budgets of local government units, which up to now are still updating and enhancing their respective comprehensive land use plans. Ang mahirap sa kanila, double standard. Ayaw nila sa akin, kung sino-sino dyan, pinasa lahat nila. Ewan ko kung nire-review nila ito. Pasasi nga ng pasa, yung akin, yung ko, hindi nila ipasa. Kung naiintindihan, what would I, ayaw nila sa akin? That would contradict the legislative bodies adopting en toto the Provincial Finance Committee's favorable recommendations for the approval of their annual budgets and annual investment plans of all LGUs of the entire province. Okay lang sa kanila. Kaya yung parang dito sa atin, ayaw nila. Ayaw siguro galing sa atin. This committee, which has meticulously been doing the actual review of the annual budgets of the AIPs for years, have yet to experience receiving one committee review report from isang bunyang panalawigan of one absolutely different or even minor deviation from any of the PFC's review. Action on any city, municipal annual budget or anything. Wala, hindi na review. Hindi na binabasa. Ako lang. Number 5, development assistance for barangays. Assistance.
On the development assistance for barangays. On sub-item A, the legal basis for the No Barangay Left Behind program is Section 324 of the Local Government Code, which mandates that the province's aid to its component barangays shall not be less than 1,000 pesos per barangay. Prior to the Governor's No Barangay Left Behind program, the province was allocating the mandatory 1,000 pesos.
1,000 lang binibigay sa bawat barangay noon.
Yes, the mandatory amount that was being given by the
Ngayon,
province.
ang binibigay natin is 500,000. Ayaw nila.
So,
1,000 lang.
all barangays are allocated 500,000 under the No Barangay Left Behind only that some barangays failed to submit a complete list of their programs, projects, and activities totaling said amount, in which case, the province will nonetheless allocate the required fund, but release the amount only after the proponent barangays have submitted all the requirements based on COA rules and regulations. A perusal of the proposed PDIP and AIP will reveal this fact. This is brought about by the COA findings of unliquidated assistance to the barangays under the previous administration. The province commits nonetheless to extend financial assistance to them by making the fund available through the No Barangay Left Behind program. Parenthetically, the province, through the Provincial Office for People Empowerment, or POP, extends assistance to these barangays in the liquidation of their obligations to the province.
Ito sa B, no, under issue number 5. On some items B, C, and D, observation regarding barangays which have not yet received FAs. Yung mga barangays daw na hindi pa nakaka-receive ng financial assistance sila from the 2016. Kaya, ini-question nila. Dapat alam nila yung na talaga hindi lahat ng barangay makaka-receive. Alam niyo kung bakit? Kung prepare nilang budget noon, lahat ng barangay na intero probinsya ng Cagayan, binigyan nila ng 300,000 each. Dahil election noon, except 12. 32 barangays sa 12, ni piso binigay nila. Nagatuaw pa yung vice governor. Kaya alam nila na hindi lahat mag-iisan. Tapos may question nila, bakit hindi na releasean lahat? Paano ma-releasean lahat kung sakaling ma-release lahat yan? Yung 12 nga yung binigyan. So from the very start, alam nila hindi. That is why we're correcting this. Kaya the governor sabi ko, lahat, 820 barangays, bibigyan natin lahat yan. Bakit hindi natin bibigyan? Dahil hindi ako binoto. Wala pakialam. Bigyan natin lahat. As the SP is well aware, all barangays in the municipality of Tuao were not given financial assistance from the province 2016 AIP, as they were excluded from the list of barangays. Hence, the SP is on spot on this point. And which point the No Barangay Left Behind directly addresses with the assurance that all 820 barangays of the province are allotted 500,000 each under this budget. Sa totoo lang, before election, alam na nila that I was telling people, if I become governor, lahat ng barangay na bibigyan 500,000. I will promise you that and I will do that. Kaya ng probinsya yan. Yung promise nila no, na tig-isang daan every year, hindi nila ibibigay. Suddenly, dahil alam nila, nagpa-promise ako ng 500, magbibigay kami ng 300, sabi nila. Nilagay nila sa 2016 budget. Sa lahat ng barangay, except one. Ito ba? Ang klase ng bigyan ko natin. Now, they put the blame on me. Lahat na yun, nag-distribute kami. Kasi yung mga iba, nabilisan natin 100. Ang nare-release namin ngayon sa buong Cagayan is 200 bawat barangay. Sa totoo lang, hindi ko sila re-releasean kung hindi sila muna makapag-liquidate sa ating accountants. Ang niliquidate nila, paniwala kayo na hindi, 10 years ago pa na financial assistance, 15 years ago pa. Nagre-reklamo yung ibang kapitan, bakit ngayon nyo lang pinapaliquidate sa amin ito? Yes, because bago yung gobernador. Yes, dahil yung gobernador na ito, sisiguraduhin niya na lahat na ibibigay niya, maliliquidate ng bawat barangay. Dahil hindi ako papayag na may mawawala sa mga 500,000 na. And this is the first time na meron tayong ganyan. Alam nila, bibitawan lang natin yung pera for natin. Bibitawan natin yan, bantayan natin. Kahit kanino ko kayo bigay, basta babantayan nyo. Ang hirap sa kanila, bumitaw sila, ihatid sila. At lang. Gusto nila hawakan lahat yung pera. Gusto nila, sabi ko, ano gagawin mo sa pera? Bigay natin sa kanila. Let them implement it. Para sila mag-explain sa atin kung masama ang implementation. Bakit nila gusto hawakan pera? Ano gagawin mo sa pera? Ibig sabihin, makikiparte ka. In an effort to eradicate graft and corruption and to have meaningful transparency and accountability among barangay officials, the local finance committee and other concerned departments, including the auditor's office, upon my directive, came up with a system on how to rationalize and fast-track the long overdue unliquidated FAs given to barangays and LGUs. As a chief executive, I took the fatherly task of dealing personally with the city, municipal accountants, treasurers. Edit ko lahat po ito. Yung mga treasurers and accountants sa lahat ng munisipyo nyo to provide a much-needed assistance to delinquent barangays as well as the non-delinquent barangay officials who have been feeling neglected for years. The People's Day, alam nyo na yan, every Thursday, basta kaya ko, nandyan ako. Kaya namin ng 12 hours kami dyan. Alas 8, bukas na kami dyan. Unless wala ng tao. The People's Day is also used as additional mechanism to remind and educate barangay officials of their duties to religiously liquidate the financial assistance extended by the province as part of the spiritual and moral recovery and transformation program. It is only under the present dispensation where a set of guidelines on the utilization of financial assistance has been formulated, all of which are based on existing BBM and COA rules and regulations as to the 20% Development Fund and the COA 2015-009 revised local government chart of accounts as to the general fund. Everything is now systematized and transparent. The same is adopted by the province in our annual budget CY 2017. Summarily, there is no PPA submitted or to be submitted by any barangay that does not in any way harmonize with the vision of the province as set by the Chief Executive or the Governor. On the scholarship program, please take note of this. It was also raised in item 6. The scholarship program is sustained under a new set of guidelines. Its implementation being executive in nature. However, this time, the provisions of educational assistance is incorporated to include indigents who cannot qualify for the academic criterion. The assistance was lowered. Binaba namin ng konti to maximize the number of your recipients. Isa pa, such option coincides with the approval of the Free Higher Education Act by Congress and the President of the Philippines granting free tuition fees to students of some colleges and universities, one of which, the Cagayan State University, where most applicants come from. There is no delegation of the implementation of the scholarship program, as it is still the province that implements it through funding. Only the equitable access is made possible. Equitable access is made possible through fund transfer to the barangays. Imbes na kami mag-distribute dito, pinapaba namin sa barangay yung pera. But each purok, remember this, each purok, there are 5,740 puroks in the entire province. Each purok is entitled one grantee, endorsed by the People Empowerment Council. The People Empowerment Council is made of 7 purok presidents and 7 councilmen, presided over by the barangay captain. Sila yung naki-endorse sa bawat purok is na isa. Now, please bear this in mind. Nominating candidates for scholarship is a prerogative that was never denied the SP members. Alam nyo, ang sabi ko sa kanila, each sakto niyang palalawigan member is entitled to 1 per barangay. So, kung taga-third district ka, sa bawat barangay sa dito, bawat barangay meron ka isa, mag-nominate ka. So, yung apat na pagkakot dito, tigisa nila. Plus, si Vice Governor, 5. Plus yung 7, 12 sa bawat barangay. Minimum. Pagbigyan din natin yung barangay dahil mas kilala nila yung mga tao. Sa akin, wala kami. Pero kayo, tigisa nyo. Wala kang problema. Kung nakukuha nyo na, 100, 100 nyo. Ngayon, ilan ang barangay sa 3rd district? 223 o 223 sa wala mo. Sa 2nd district, magkano? 180 o 180 sa wala mo. Si Governor, 820. Ano ba ayaw niya? Si Vice Governor, 820 ang scholar niya, 1 per barangay. Si Governor, wala nga eh. Hindi nga ako maka-identify ng isa. Ano ba ayaw nila? Tapos questionin nila yung scholarship. Tandaan mo ito, I will not identify ng isa. Bibigay ko sa mga baba. Ayaw maka-identify. Ayaw na kailangan. Ewan ko, kung mali yun. Ewan ko sa inyo. Kung mali yung ginagawa ko. Provincial Ordinance. Meron silang Provincial Ordinance doon. 2016-8 plus you receive more. Including the Scholarship Board. Meron daw silang Scholarship Board dito. Under the previous administration was never heard of and had never been implemented by my predecessor. In accordance with the cited instrument. Wala yun. Hindi na-implement. Instead, they've been eating at tutubo where relatives and even children of capital employees were prioritized rather than the poor but truly deserving applicants. Doon ako naasar, sa totoo lang. Nung nakita ko na mga nabibigyan pala dito, mga anak din ng mga empleyado namin. Nung kaya sa atin, sabi ko, paano yung mga tinatalayan? Yung mga Santa Mercedes, Santa Spira, Santa Rizal, Santa Tuao, yung malayo sa Kapitolyo, Santa Lasal. Bakit mga anak din natin yung mga nalibigyan? Tayo na nga yung empleyado ng gobyerno, tayo pa. Ang dami mga scholarship sa state universities. Yung mga galing yung anak natin. Kung hindi sila magaling, pinagay mo lang sa ESTA, yung mga ibigin. Hindi mo siya kasing galing. It is one program abused and mismanaged to the detriment of those truly deserving to be served. To avoid this circumstance, political leaders are therefore encouraged to support and help the local representative in the improvement of its implementation. I'm still open for whatever gusto nyo improvement para scholarship natin. I don't even want to call it scholarship anymore. It's just assistance to students. Pero pinaprioritize natin dito dahil libre naman hanggang high school. Sa tertiary level lang tayo, sa college lang. Dahil most of our children come from towns which do not have a tertiary education in that area. So yung mga pinatuaw, wala kami, yung mga pinatyan, walang koleyo. So, you have to establish somewhere else. Now, the Provincial Office for People Empowerment, yung POP natin, question na naman nila. Structurally, the Provincial Office for People Empowerment, or the POP, is not created in the annual budget. Kasi kung ilalagay natin doon, meron yan sariling plantilla items, which will have a PS, an OOE, a capital outlay, and some budgetary requirements. It is similarly situated yung sa mga dapat ginagawa nila noon, Barangay Operation Center, or yung PAC nila, the People's Action Center of the past administrations. In adherence to the principle of advocacy, all of these fall under the category of ad hoc bodies, which were created to perform a specific purpose. For its part, POP's primary purpose is to establish self-reliance in the barangays by empowering the people through the creation of people's organization. di at kay-kaysa Cagayan. Di at kay-kaysa po, para alam lang ninyo lahat, is our puro organization. Self-help. Wala kami binibigay na pera, wala kami binibigay na allowance, wala kami binibigay ni ano. We just organize it because this work in wow. I did not do this incidentally or experiment on it. Kaya ko sinasabi, it worked in wow against insurgency, against poverty, against criminality. Kami, nandun kami sa baba ng Cordillera, katabi namin ang pinokpok, ang aponer. Hindi siya amin ni LPA, hindi ako. Hindi siya amin ni lumuluko, matalinga, na hindi makaya ito, magpabutin yung suda. Di wow, hamit ako dito ko si suda. At tapos ba, kaagaw ito mo rin, 1 inch na namin. Because we are organized. Kita doon yung problema namin dyan, problema namin yung insurgency, problema namin dito yung butong, problema namin yung kriminalidad. Hinderos ko yung talinggarin na payaw. Kung hindi naramit ko yung nag-organize kami. I did not do this for election purposes. I did this to save our people. I did this to empower our people. And it worked for us. Along the way, pumipik sa tao din. Along the way, ang muna pa yung piling. I want to stress to say this. Sa tuwaw, mula nung nagkaroon ng totoong eleksyon during Corin's time, hanggang ngayon, wala pa kami natalong mayor, vice mayor, at walong konsehan. Na hindi kami nagbabayad kahit isang boto. I want to stress this every now and then. Because it worked for us. Hindi ka kaya ng iba na kailangan bayaran mo para bumoto sa iyo. Sa tuwaw, tanongin niyo mga tao ng tuwaw kung nakatanggap sila sa aming pag-bumoto. Lagi kong sinasabi ito. That's why I'm doing this. Because this is something that will empower our people. Capacitate our people. Hindi ako nag-experiment dito. It worked for us. It will work anywhere. Kaya kung ginawa itong to empower our people. Hindi experiment ito. And nobody did this in the entire country. Kayo sa tuwa, sinabi namin, binigay namin sample ballot namin. From president down to the last person of bumoto natin. Kaya nakaka-30 pa kami dito. Ibigay siya na hindi manalo kahit saan, nanalo sa tuwa. Si FBI, sa tuwa lang nanalo. Si Gloria, nakalaban niya si Po. Natalo siya sa buong taga, doon lang sa tuwa siya nanalo. Sa totoo lang. Why? Because the credibility of its leaders. Kahang kami po sa bayat ako. Uray matay amin di anak ko na nabigay na yata ko po dito. Why should I not do it? Kapag iibot ko na ito, natin work for a small time. Kami kaya magbitingin ako, 60,000 na tao ito. Kami kaya ng kapano. But it work for us, and it will work anywhere. You may not believe this. Ito, in due time, I will cook you, in due time. Ikiban nyo yung death for ito. Kaya ayaw nila itong organization na po. Dahil panay pera, alam nila dapat ito. Organizational arm in 70 to 2022. All of which are based on the provisions of the local government code and harmonized with the mission and vision under the enhanced provincial development and fiscal base that are not within the PPFP may be and implemented through the PDIP and the AIP, which are precisely updated annually to accommodate changes in priority PPS due to revised provincial, regional, national priorities, fiscal situation, and unforeseen events prior to the budget process. Now, on the tourism, sabi nila, ang liit daw ng tourism, 5 million lang daw nakalagay. Ang hirap sa kanila, they take every item as it is. Pero kung basahin mo yung entirety of the budget, you can see where the tourism is. A large part of the tourism development has already been included in the infrastructure development projects of the province, especially in the establishment of rail networks to address the need for accessibility to the different attractions. This on top of significant financial and technical assistance from the national government. Tourism Road Infrastructure Priority Projects or the TRIPP, which the Planning and Infra Divisions are currently working on with DOT or the Department of Tourism and DPWH, propose inclusion and funding of Canlaw Caves Resorts under the Tourism Infrastructure Economic Zone Authority or CHESA, and the provision of comfort rooms. Kasi pati comfort rooms, namimigay sila. O possible grant of $35,000. The proposed beautification of the provincial capital complex. At yan, nakatiwang lahat yan. Wala naman lahat yan. Rizal's Park. Lagay tayo din ng 10 million para mapaganda natin yung Rizal Park natin. Provincial Sub-Capital in Bagat. Nabami papipitasin, pati road network, wala na aramin din ako. Sayang na dyan. Kata, ipatami din dyan. Pero, kata, Abril, after nito yung pati. Amin mga offices, at ganito dyan. I will assure you that. And other facilities are all parts of the province trust to rehabilitate and rebuild from Lawing's devastation and promote tourism in the province, with the expectation that these developments encourage a sense of pride among Cagayanos. Sadly, the Sangguniang Palalawigan seems to fail to appreciate this fact. The province is working on a cultural approach to sustainable tourism by promoting the Cagayano culture and experience rather than simply selling an attraction. In this, the province has been and will be closely working with the NCCA, the PIA, and the National Museum, to name a few. In any case, the PDIP, like any plan, is a rolling plan. Any program could be supplemented within the year or every year thereafter. Tourism is highly dependent on the initiative of the private sector. There is a plan to introduce a public-private partnership concept for the development of tourism sector. Hence, the mixed-use commercial and tourism zones shall be adopted as development plan. Gumagawa kami ngayon, malalaman nyo, na we get the best practices of other provinces. We want to have a local PPP. Nagpapapretera ko ng code dito, local PPP code. Napopotehin namin sa other provinces. Because it worked for them, I know it will work for us to get the private or the private sector into tourism also, especially on tourism. Now, the Cagayan Sports Complex. The question na naman nila, wala na nga umpisa dito, tatapusin ko lang, kakatahin ko lang, ayaw pa nila, hindi ko maintindihan. Well, the facilities in the sports complex underwent repairs implemented by the previous administration. This does not negate the fact that the Super Typhoon Lawing caused significant damage to the facilities. Sana puntahan niyo yung arans, puntahan niyo yung report, pero kita niyo anong klaseng damage ginawa ng Lawing ko. Ewan ko kung nakikita nila o hindi. The rubberized paint of the outdoor playing courts is not a proper and planned material therefore. Outdoors rubberized flooring for these courts is supposed to be that of the same or similar material on the track level and the track over. As for the soccer field, the question nila, the proper material therefore is turf grass, which was planned but never implemented or funded under the previous administration. Pinalaplano lang nila, hindi na nila ginawa. Consequently, being the only sports facility in the province with the capability to host the 2018 Tavraa, gusto ko lang malaman nyo na Tugigaw City will be the Tavraa host next year at ang kakamitin nila yung facilities of provincial government. That is why, ngayon pa lang, maniwala kayo hindi, prepare na kami. Pati yung angkol na kaya, January pa lang, prepare na kami. Hindi ako kata-kanaka ng prepare. Hindi ako naging doktor para mag-travel today. Hindi ako naging gobernador, hindi ako naging congressman, hindi ako naging mayor, hindi ako naging secretary, tsaka naka-naka mag-prepare. Consequently, being the only sports facility in the province with the capability to host the 2018 Tavraa to ensure the safety of the students and patrons, as well as to comply with the mandate to promote sports development for the people. The proposed appropriations were made. Further, And to reiterate, the province is preparing the complex for the promotion of sports tourism, which I hope to launch during the 2018 Tabraan. It can only be through a planned development of the sports complex, post-Lawin, and we even hope to take part in the national government's trust sports tourism. Now, any question na yung 30 million? Napakalaki tayo. The engineering department has been working historically on the figures of 25 to 30 million annually for the maintenance of the provincial roads. Baka hindi pa nila alam kung ilang kilometro yung provincial roads natin, so masagot ng 2 million. Baka hindi nila alam kung ilan ang paved, kung ilan ang dirt road. Baka hindi nila alam kung ilan ang asphalted, kung ilan kilometro. Yan ang mahirap. Technically, all roads depreciate annually, whether paved or unpaved roads need maintenance funds. We still have more or less, ito lang ha, yung unpaved, 237.84 kilometers. Unpaved. We have a total of 421 kilometers, provincial roads. Lahat yun kailangan maintain mo, 421 kilometers. And of the 421, 237 unpaid. Pag lalagay ka ng 30 million, yung question din nila. Dapat na ito, question din nila dahil maliit. Yung question din nila dahil malaki daw, dapat maliit. Kung maintindihan. Siguro, makakala nila, nalakawin ko ng 30 million. The conservative estimate, however, is based on the existence of other sources of funds. Dahil meron tayo general fund, MOOE, the excise taxes, binibigyan tayo pa konti-konti, and supplemental appropriations as the need arises. We only need to be solicitous, patient, in sourcing our funds for our mandates. Ang laki, ang haba-haba ng provincial road system. Napabayaan talaga ito. In fact, noong dumating ako dito, in 2016 nila, na-concrete ng provincial road, 1 million, 1 million, 1 million, 1 million sa ito, 1 million. Ilan ang makukumpleto ng 1 million? 100 meters. Dahil hindi mo pa nakukumpleto 237 kilometers. Kaya galit ako kay Bessie. Anong klaseng kontraktor ang kukunin mo kung 1 million yung bibigay mo project? Hindi nakapala lang yun. Pala lang ang dala niya. 1 million lang yung project niya. Alam naman, dali niya yung pinakamalaki yung sabi ko, hindi pwede yan. Lakihan natin. At least 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers. Para at least quality pa na ng contractor. Kahit pa paano naman, baka naka-1 bagger siya. Imagine ninyo kung 1 million ipagawa mo sa Santa Mercedes, sino gagawa? Sino big time na contractor ang pupunta doon? Na magkakala ng dala. Paano ka naman? Pinasak kami na ito. Nakamit ka na yun, hindi ka magpapil ka niya. Baka ko ipa-geotag ko yun, hindi pa lalabas sa geotagging. Dahil sa hindi. Ganito pa yung klase natin. It's so unfair. Ang gano'n gawin natin sa provincial. Papaya, si provincial engineer, sabihin niya yung plano sana natin. Kung ilang kilometro ang makagawa sana natin yung provincial. Kung ma-approve natin ito, ma-approve natin yung supplemental budget, yung sa 237 na yan, sabihin mo mamaya kung ilan ang plano natin. Ay papasimento, para alam nila. Now, bukod sa in-question na naman nila yung provincial road network development plan natin. Kasi iniisip pa namin ito. The province of Cagayan is under a new set of leadership with a new set of PR and BP or the Provincial Road Network Development Plan and a higher allocation assured by the national government. Alam niyo yung PUB, Last year, sila Roy, nagbigay sila dahil hindi nila ma-implement lahat ng pera sa mga municipality, nagbigay sila ng 15 million. Sa lahat, all towns in the entire country were given 15 million each. Yung BUB na tinatawag nila. Wala ang mga probinsya. Nagselos kayo ng mga probinsya. Bakit mga munisipyo ng probinsya? So, the next year, no, 2017, 2016, nagbigay sila ng kalsada. BUB ito, kalsada. Nakakuha tayo ng 100, for 2016, 101 million ang binigay nila for our provincial roads. That is a BUB, bottoms-up budgeting. Pero ang gusto ng national government na concentrate sa concreting ng provincial roads. So aside from yung tira natin na nilalagay natin dyan, meron pang national ngayon, 101 million. Pero meron tayong counterpart in 2016, 30%. So meron tayong dapat 30 million. 43 point something. Ayaw nila yung bigay. So mawawala na naman yung 100 natin. Andyan na yung 100. Hindi namin na-implement dahil ayaw nila pag-supplemental budget or mag-budget ng 43 million. Balik natin yung 100 na. For 2017, how much? 320. 328. Ibibigay na naman ang national sa atin. Pero hindi natin ma-implement yun kung hindi muna natin implement yung 2016. So let's forgo all about it. Kaya ito yung epekto nito. Wala nang counterpart yun. Pero hindi natin makukuha dahil hindi pa natin na-implement yung 2016. Kaya magtiro ang nanigil ka. Sakta dito kami bigatin lang. Ano siya? Walang pangalog sa napata. Namayat yung basta amin kayo po, araminin tayo. Anak Agram, noong 2019, nagamit tayo dito sa aking karakan. Anak Agram. Makita si tayo natin ngayon. Anak Agramin. Huwag lang natin ganito tutuloy sa natin. Dahil sa mga personal interest. Willing ako kumuha. I will promise to every Kakayano I will not run in 2019, but let us do something about the problems of our province. Kanya na yung klase rin, the rest na bullshit na namin. Pero sa akin, hinihingi nila para sa bulsa nila. Ito lumabang kay Gloria, ito lumabang kay Marcos, ito lumabang kay Emilio, at personal. Never. I was never motivated with money. When I started to be mayor of my town, ang sweldo ko 4,000 pesos. I'm a medical doctor, hindi ako full-full na doktor. Graduate ako ng UST, Canong University, si Manuel Mamba. I never earned a single cent, not a single cent of being a doctor. Hindi ko sila provision ito. Siguro yung piso, sa 1 minute ko pa doktor, kundi prenak na doktor. Dari bisa kita pas. Unang tumama ng kawawa tayo, sinawawa tayo mga magnanakaw na leaders natin. Now, we have a new crop of would-be leaders in the future. So, hindi na ba tayo nag-graduate sa katulad ni Enrique? Katulad ni Antonio. Isama casual na siya. Isama lang na casual. Alakan na yung sweldo yung 200 ni Olay. Hindi na kami mag-distribute ng alkalang. Nakameme yung audit. Isabi na empleyado na kami. Yung mga sweldo ka, 80 yung sweldo, 80 na Olay. Gusto na taga-alok ka lang, mag-200. Yung mga the province provides other and new set leadership. Yung PRNDT projects and higher allocations assured by the national government. It was wrong and unwise for the provincial government under the previous administration to include only 16 provincial core projects. 112 ang provincial road segments natin. 112. Ang pinili lang nila 16 na priority. Hindi ba namin ito? Kami nila Messi. Hindi pwedeng 16 lang, sabi ko. Tignan nyo yung mga unpaved na road na 3 kilometers and above. Yun ang uunahin natin. Basta 3 kilometers and above, kahit nasaan man yan. Kaya yung maliit, madali na natin pagawa yan sa mga local natin at kung ano may mga savings natin. Pero unahin natin yung 3 kilometers and above. Kaya from 16 provincial core, naging 45. Lahat ng 3 kilometers and above na unpaved, nilagay namin lahat. Sila 16 lang. Kung titignan mo, alam mo na kung sino-sino yung mga ito. Hence, to ensure a more equitable distribution of infrastructure development among the municipalities, I directed the inclusion of all provincial road segments that are more than 3 kilometers in length. Now, 45 provincial core roads out of 112 provincial road segments are included. It is grossly unfair and inequitable to other local government units of this province not to include them. Now, the Provincial Information Office, pinag-iinitan nila si Rochi dahil nagsasabi ng totoo. Pwede po ba? Pwede naman nga, bulbul dito. Hindi kakaasis ko na ito. Kamali na kaya na may baka, hindi kakukurang ito. Diba? Natural. Sabi niyo mo lang kung ano nangyayari. Sabi ko, huwag na lang magsinungaling sa mga tao. Yung totoo lang. Ayaw nila ng totoo. So ayaw nila may budget yung PIO. Almost. Sabi nila, ang laki ng budget ng PIO. Dapat daw, huwag bumili ng mga... O ito yung rason namin kung bakit namin sa binibigyan ng mas malaking budget. Almost all supplies and equipment under the previous Provincial Information Office has been declared missing, unreturned, depleted, depreciated, and vandalized. Pero mo yun, aalis na lang sila, kinuha pa lahat yung mga hard disk.
Walang ini. Walang ini. Nakamaskin.
Even the files and contents of the computers were all gone, leaving no trace of their existence, not considered appropriated by their approval at this period. Hence, fears, doubt, pakikinggan, bakit ko lang titignan yung ating website? Because it is true. Hindi ko sabihin, pali kasi lumalingan nyo. Hindi ko sabihin, yung mga OCW nyo, hindi tatawag dito sa mga hindi subsector. Peso, galing brand, medisina, ang peso, kada ambulansya, ang peso, 24 hours, kada respondent. Imposible na hatang i-verify. Hindi magkamit kayo dyan. That is why it is now the source of news. In fact, dito ba, ganito kayo pangalan, budget BCYP, dito ba ita, dami dito. O ba ilang natin yung pubs? Sa totoo lang, we need PIO to inform our people. We need them to get our people interested in what we're doing. We need them to get our people to solve our problems. Paano natin masolve yung mga problema natin? Depende sa ako. Habang nagka, walang manood, purihan at ispail na nurse, i-text na din niya, hindi pa pinili pa. Sir, nakasimangot tong nurse dito sa Toran. Pangit pa naman, sabi sa akin. Totoo lang. I think it's seriously. Okay, Doc, maki-investigate. Puri Prasad, puri Jumalay, the doktor, i-text na din niya. Puri Tiniya, mga tanong. Sir, tanong na niya, i-text na din niya. Ganun din. Aksyonan namin nila po, ano niya. DNR, kamuda, amin yung magkakapot kita. At kapo amin tinyak information na sumpong kitao. Sir, mapapay na para nito yun. O most of the time, di ba alam nila yan ay wood, kanya yung tao, awarin.
Team na rin.
Pero mga action na namin lahat as far as Kasi nagsusumbong ng tao. Kahit dito, sa opisina dito. O minsan, sir, okay na sa assessors, pinakape pa kami, nung nalaman, tigataw kami. Sabi sa akin. Kasi sinasabi ko, gets us, diba? Sabi ko, may feedback mechanism tayo. Bakit hindi natin yun? Instead na ganito na nag-iibitan tayo. Pero usap ko sila, sabi ko sa sabi ng kalalaman, yung Vice Governor. 2 years lang ko, Vice Governor, sabi ko. 2 years lang magkakasama tayo. Pag-bigyan mo lang ako ng 2 years. Huwag lang tayo mag-away-away. Inaway ko na ako noon. Okay na yun. Ngayon, 2 years lang. After 2 years, sige, dapat mo rin, politika mo rin. 2 years na yun lang eh, nagkatwa. Subukan nyo lang siya. Paniwala ko din lang, sikap tayo after 2 years. At hindi na kayo makampanya. 2 years lang. Ewan ko, it's so unfortunate na ganito ang pagtingin nila sa ginagawa natin. Naman po, kung anong gusto nila kami nag-ibig. Sa akin, kaya mula siguro ako, napuntawan na dito eh, kung na siguro makipag-porsyento ng project. Hiya naman sila. Never ako nag-SAS copy. But I think na rin nakalaki. May never na nagpipigan. So, the election ko, gastos ko baka na yung less than 10 million, baka may kasawa. Amin gastos ko 15. You may not believe it. People so hard up to believe that I'm telling you. I have a lot of friends na kaya kalaki, manage, kaya tulungan mo siya. Kaya may pagkakinakataw, may pagkakinakataw sa kaya pinalik dito. Ibig sabihin, pupunta ako ngayon dito para magnakaw. Kumusta, paano yung trust sa akin yung mga awang may tinawatin ka. Kita nyo, nag-PPDO ka. Sasalita ka lang, narinig yung kontra. Those people who took advantage of this province. Nakausap sila pareho, kaya ko lang mag-isama ka. Kaya kami mga kasama ko, mag-bidding lang muna siya. Huwag naman tayo muna. Na ma-improve lang natin. Kasi kung tayo na naman, akala nyo mamaya, pinibigyan nyo naman ako. After this, I will sumali na tayo sa pagkakas. Huwag lang muna kayo. Sabi dyan, hindi nakarami ng Coliseum. 200 million yun. Sa akin, napakamahal yun. Gusto lang naman mag-bid. Sabi ko, pag pinabid mo yan, at nanalo yan, nakakala mo na mamaya, acceptable na sa akin yung 200 million sa Coliseum. Sabi ko, huwag naman muna kayo, iba naman, para makita natin. Ito lang yung gumawa sa museum. Kung pwede raw, sasali siya. Sabi ko, hindi ko kayo nahiya, sabi ko, in-question ko yung 30 million na yung nakalagay, 80 million na yung nakalagay doon. Kita mo naman, yung museum natin. Is that worth 30 million, 80 million na yun? Where it came from? Hindi question niya, sabi ko, how can I question that? Hindi siya na naman namin. Hindi naman yung iba muna. Ako, dali ko makiusap, kahit sinong contractor ako, because they respect. Alam nila na hindi ako naghihingi sa pila, kahit sinong contractor ko. Now, tumulong sila sa election ko, thank you, bakit tumulong ko yun? Wala namang natatay na kondisyones. Ang tayo, I believe, yung istorya ka na kayo, tutulong ka rin niya. Milyon, titigil na tayo na siya. One, because they trust the kind of leadership about history. Bawa naman sila. Pagaling na muna kita. It's so unfair, di ba? You have 6 million kang every month. And then, ano kung nangyayari sa PI? Dapat lalo, sakyan nila. Nung tayo nag-distribute sa relief goods, nakita niyo ba ako na pumunta kayo isa? May pangalan ba ako sa mga relief goods natin? May mukha ba ako? Ayoko, sinabi ko, huwag mong maglagay, huwag mong maglagay. In fact, pinakausap ko sila, guys, distributed GI sheets kayo. Okay na ako kayo. Tapos magdadala yung pag-aklat na pala ng awang politika natin. Makaasip ka ganyan, alawin ka nyo. Ano ba ka? Talakag tayo. Ika peoples. Ika yung tool. Ika hindi yung tao. Tamad. Di ba katama rin yun? Yung sabi na lang ngayon. Hindi ko maintindihan kung saan ako nagkamali. Anong ayaw nila? That's why I need to explain all of these things. Sasabihin ko ng budget, papalit sa'yo. Ito sila na iyan. Lecturean pa rin ako ng data. Tapos ang gano'n nagkapwa. Pagkahat na tayo na nakaapak, hindi malakan yan. Playground ko malakan yan. Playground. Now, on the procurement of vehicles. Doon pa. Gusto nilang bumili ng tig-isa nila. Sa 27 budget, 18 million, isa raw nila sa ako ito, huwag ko tayo ng million. Katatama sa atin ng lawin, bibili tayo sa sasakyan natin, may masasabi ang natin. Kung bibili tayo sa sasakyan, services, engineering, reason, what not for us? Pagtsaga muna tayo sa luma, kahit tinamaan tayo ng lawin. Kung merong priority, yung expenditure sa langit. So, pinapakiusap ko sa nila, huwag muna. They took it against me. Politiko kami. Saan ka na kayo? Tama na. Boto na kayo. Kasi kami, boto ng tao. So, ang iba image me, ayaw kami ng tao. And I was telling people there. O siguro, handa ko puting, wala yung suot na, wala yung kita. Kasi, chat ka nila Pababa na tayo dyan, nakakabit dyan. Congratulations, graduates, Boss Jack Enrique, and Mama Sally. Natalo na nga, boss pa rin. Ano dapat busapos? Boss pa rin. Hindi ko sila nahiyang magsabi, boss pa rin. Boss Jack Enrique. They're out of touch of reality. But I think it is because they took so lowly the people na hindi image ko tinitignan mo. Hindi ako binuboto mo. Ikaw, bibili lang kita sa eleksyon. Bibili kita ng 500. Atin mo naman. Ang mga mabuting image mo, ang mabuting isuot mo, ang mabuting how people will perceive you. Ano ibig sabihin ito? Pera-pera lang ito, tapos mo, yan, 500. Mabak ka na naman. Kaya nilili ka na naman. Diba? Sa yung babae ng prostitute, ang kapasama, nagpapaglod din namin. Kaya atang-tarantaan sa amin, kaya namin kaya ito. This is the same thing. That's why they look at people that way, kahit na anong suot nila, anong ba nila, ito ang effective of how people feel when they do such things. Nasa Panginoon, ang ikaw, pera-pera ka. Which means, masapon at the corruption. Which means, masapon at the weapon. Which means, masapon at the blacks and mining. The drugs. Ito ba yung politika gusto natin? Ito ba yung pinakayawan natin? Ito ba yung pinalabanan natin? That we are sensitive to our people. Sensitive to their feelings. Sila out of pera-pera.
On the procurement of vehicles, the plan to purchase vehicles primarily intended for the delivery of public services and as a support to tourism and other agencies, not for the official use of any department head or official. Take note that this item is not provided under the 2017 AIP, but in the PDIP, in keeping with my stand that no acquisition of vehicles for provincial officials and officers post-Lawin, except those necessary for service delivery. Even with the recent development in the proposed increase in excise tax on vehicles pending before the House of Representatives, my stand has remained. Funding for the acquisition of vehicles for use of provincial officials and officers is supposed to be proposed for supplemental budgeting in view of the more than 1 billion savings from 2016, subject to the new DPM and DILG guidelines in the purchase of vehicles for officials. Number 13, on the hiring of job orders. It is the business of the Executive Department precisely to execute, implement, and operate the provincial government, including new programs, projects, and activities. Hence, the manpower complement required by the Executive Department is far larger than the manpower requirement of the Legislative Department, whose work is primarily to legislate. The Executive Department has never meddled with the exercise by the Vice Governor of his power to hire or fire any personnel in the Vice Governor's office or the Sangguniang Panlalawigan. As to the hospital personnel, the province will not fill up all the vacancies under the Provincial Health Office and hospitals, as doing so is not rational for the following reasons. Number 1, I have activated and strengthened the local health board, and the Provincial Health Office must come up with their final rationalization plan, which shall be done in close coordination with the Department of Health. This will come hand in hand with the right sizing strategy being adopted by almost all hospitals nationwide. These had long been planned, but the two predecessors lacked the determination and strong political will to resolve this health concern. Number 2, both the Human Resource and Management Office and the Personnel Selection Board must have to be retooled, if not revamped, to remove the pervasive practice of nepotism and non-observance of the merit system. The need for institutional cleansing is a must to allow the entry of productive and competent civil servants. Number 3, furthermore, certain positions in the PHO are no longer needed in the province, such as the sanitary inspectors, which are no longer needed in the province. In any case, the Executive Department has published 84 vacant positions under the Provincial Health Office and hospitals for filling up. Positions determined by the PHO to be necessary for the effective and efficient delivery of services. As to the civil service action, the Executive Department is only answerable for 79 casual appointments under the provincial government, none of which were charged against vacant regular positions. We have submitted the necessary appeal before the Civil Service and are only now awaiting the action of the Civil Service Region 2. While it is a quandary on the part of the Executive as to the reason for the sudden change of heart on the part of the Civil Service, considering that they previously approved the practice by the previous administration of charging casual appointees to vacant regular positions, I can only appreciate that this time around, the Civil Service is strictly implementing its rules and forcing the offices to enforce civil service laws, rules, and regulations. Item number 14, regarding the number of district hospitals. This has neither relation to the PDIP nor the AIP. I believe that the question on whether or not to operate a hospital depends on the feasibility or viability of its operation and the surrounding community's need, therefore, not in the hospital's personnel organizational structure. This matter is being investigated and studied for our guidance. For the meantime, as the Chief Executive, I am obliged to comply with the Department of Health's licensing requirements and PhilHealth accreditation policy, and to consider at all times the best interest of the people to ensure the delivery of quality health services. Item number 15, the Capitol grounds and Rizal Park and other buildings. The Capitol buildings and its grounds deserve to retain their magnificence and grandeur, being a cultural heritage and the seat of political power. The historical Rizal Park and other provincial government facilities for decades have never been facelifted in a manner that would bring pride and enhance levels of good local governance. They must be massively improved and rehabilitated, having been damaged by Super Typhoon Lawin. The province plans to implement the Province of Cagayan Capital Complex Redevelopment Project through public-private partnership. Included therewith is the construction of new, spacious, client-friendly, efficient, functional, and more decent Sangguniang Panlalawigan offices, session hall, other multi-purpose buildings and facilities, thereby transforming the provincial capital into a model institutional center and tourist destination with state-of-the-art facilities and amenities that transcend into greater efficiency, safety, and comfort to all public users. It is a proposal open to all interested investors. All these infrastructure concerns are in accordance with the Local Government Code, particularly Section 17, Basic Services and Facilities, item number 3 for a province, and sub-item number 6, provincial buildings, provincial jails, freedom parks, and other public assembly areas, and other similar facilities.
On behalf of the Cagayan people, we have been yearning for real change in provincial governance. I have repeatedly requested the Sangguniang Panlalawigan to help to introduce reforms in all our systems, from the value systems to governmental systems, that has long hampered our economic development and growth as a province. There's a need to stop politicking and horse trading, and start renewing our common faith that together we would work things out without resorting to unnecessary delays in the implementation of programs and projects that serve our common constituents. The interests of the general public must have priority above all else. The demand of the PDIP to the PDC means delays and unquantifiable loss of resources, not to mention the time and effort that the local chief executives, the mayors, and the PDC members put into the PDIP. Resolution number 2017-9-329 dated March 22, 2017 is tantamount to a disapproval of the PDIP and AIP as well as the executive budget. This response to the SP was made primarily to address your concerns. Let it not be said that I failed to make my plans and purpose clear before this body. I will continue to perform my mandate as the highest official of the province in spite of the setback and continue to institutionalize the reforms that I promise the people of Cagayan.
Thank you. Maraming salamat, Governor Manuel Mamba, sir, sa inyo pong paglatag ng mga katugunan ng inyong tanggapan sa mga issue na ilabas ng Sangguniang Panlalawigan. To the members of the local and national media, nasa harapan po natin ng ating pong gobernador. Kasama niya po si Atty. Jaro Mamba Villaflor, ang Chief of Staff ng Office of the Governor. Sa kanan ni Governor ay si Ma'am Edna Lingan, ang ating Provincial Budget Officer. Si Ma'am Elisa Umoso, ang ating Provincial Planning and Development Officer. Si Mr. Reden Castillo, ang Hepe ng POP, at si Ma'am Lilia Lacambra, ang ating pong Provincial Treasurer. Sa kaliwa po ni Atty. Charo, si Ma'am Jean Garma, ang ating Provincial Accountant, ang mga consultants ng ating puting governor, si Sir Bubo Taro, si Sir Rudy Alvarado, at si Bishop Tamayo. Ang mga department heads nandito, si Ma'am Bessie Flores, ang ating pong Provincial Engineer, Provincial Health Officer natin, si Dr. Calay Cortina, at iba pang mga department heads nandito. si Ma'am Pearl Mabasa, ang ating OPA, si Dr. Guillermo, ang veterinary head natin, si Ma'am Attorney Enaman, ang ating po provincial assessor, at si Sir Adap, ang ating pong Enro, si Sir Bong Padilla ng GS ko. At iba pa hong mga bisita natin nandito, si Sir Bonnie Guarteros, no? At ang ating provincial administrator, Sir, doon the governor, si Sir Joseph Lopez. Nandito rin po ang iba't ibang mga barangay captains at ibang mga bisita. Ang members ng media nandito mula po sa tri-media natin, from radio, Popo Radio, DCC, DCYT, DWP Radio ng Bayan, RPC Cable Master, Clearview, DMA 7 Springer, Rappler, the Northern Forum, and the Manila Standard of National Daily, and other members of the Capital Press Corps. Bukas na po ang ating pong pagtatanong. Bibigyan po namin kayo ng tigda 2 tanong, isang main question and a follow-up question sa unang round ng ating pong press conference. So the first question from Mr. Pops Mamawag of Sunshine Radio, DZY. Sir.
Good morning po, Governor, at sa mga department heads. Ngayon po ay tumatakbo na tayo sa reenacted budget dahil bigo ang sabi ng palalawigan na ipasa ang proposed 2017 budget ng ating probinsya ngayong taon. Ano po ang pumasok sa isip niyo, Governor Mamba, na gagawing diskarte sa kabila po ng milyon-milyong mga infra project ang hindi po ma-implementa dahil nga sa hindi pag-approve nitong 2017 budget natin?
Well, ang very ideal sana is sa budget na. Sa feeling ko kasi is the budget, but you right the wrong task. Mga pagkakamali in the past, kailangan tuloy-tuloy na ma-check. Sabi ko nga, ako na dapat nagsasabi natin sa inyo. I have always been longing for this time na mangyari ito. Kaya ako, kasi ako, sanay ako sa problema. Mula noon, and I challenge sa lahat ng mga ganito. Never na ilagay ko yung influence ko sa nakagawa kong infrastructure. Ang tingin ko, kahit walang infrastructure, kahit walang proyekto, ang importante dito is may vision ka para sa mga tao. So sa akin, I never consider this as a setback sa what we could do for the province. I think these are the challenges that we have to face. Because any change for that matter is always unwelcome. Especially for those who want a status quo. Diba? Kahit yung gigisingin ka lang, na alas 7 kung sanay ka gumising na alas 11. Balik ka na kaagad, kahit na may importante sa kanila. At yun dito, maapektuhan sila dahil mawawala yung mga job open nila. Maapektuhan sila dahil kukunti na siguro yung pang-gasolina nila. Maapektuhan sila dahil it will change. But these are part of reforms. Everybody has to sacrifice. Gusto natin ng matinong leadership, gusto natin ng bureaucracy maganda, gusto natin ng efficiency, and getting the trust of our people. Talagang matatagalan ka ng mga inaabuso mo in the past. Sa akin, it has always been expected there will be things like this all throughout. And I'm willing. Kaya sabi ko nga, what would I want para masatisfy or magkaroon kami ng middle ground. Kung sinabi sa akin, gusto nila, it's unacceptable nila. It's a status ko. Yung dating gawin, gano'n na naman, hindi ako papaya. So sa akin, sinabi ko sa mga department heads last Monday, let's prepare for the enacted budget. This will not in any way affect my vision for the province of Quezon. Ang vision natin is not solely on infra, not solely dependent on this budget. Yung asam natin dito araw-araw, yung intindi ng tao natin, yung paglabas ng klase ng bawat leader natin. Because at the end of the day, there will be the record in time. Elections will be there in 2019. Ma-unmask ang bawat isa sa atin long term. Makikita kung sino ang may puso talaga para sa kauunlad at kagagad ng mga kaya. And I think this is the time. Hindi makukuha sa kapwa-kapwa talaga yung mga picture-picture. I have shown them na kaya ng provincial government ng 24/7. Any time of the day, kahit anong oras, kaya natin. I have shown them na ma-organize natin ang 5,740 in 5 to 6 months. We did it. I have shown them na yung mga hospital na yan, kahit anong oras, may medisina yan. We did it. Ngayon, ang nagreklamo sa akin, especially sa apartment area, ang nagreklamo ay mga private hospitals. Lahat yung pasyente nila nandun na sa Torah, nandun sa Katilpil. Sa totoo lang. What does this mean? The trust of our people is stolen. Noon, question ng Baggaw. Rinos ko lang yung dalawa, mawawalan sila. Ngayon, wala na akong mag-text sa atin. Wala na. Sabi nga, sir, maganda na. Sir, maganda. Kaya sabi ko, basta nakafocus tayo sa latawin natin. The infra on the budget of the monies will not define the administration of Manuel Mamba. Ito, dekorasyon lang ito. Dekorasyon lang ito. Tandaan nyo ito sasabihin. Because we feel that the people are behind us. Para ako superstar, lagi hindi naman ako guwapo. Picture po. Kahit nandun ako sa airport, sir, picture naman, kahit sa Manila. So, I'm so happy. People come to realize na gusto ko lang because we will unmask people kung sino sila. Makikilala kung sino kung makikilala dito. Kahapon, nandun ako sa Gonzaga. Sabi ko, hindi na-approve at ayaw i-approve yung budget ko. Wala na yung 500,000 yun. Ayaw kayong bigyan sa kanyang palalawigan at sa vice governor hindi pa 500,000 yun. Alam nyo na yung gagawin nyo natin yung election. Ito na din mga mayor, ayaw ko ibibigyan, 53 million yun. Kasi ako, importante sa akin, alam ng tao kung ano mangyayari. Every step of the way, because deal with this will make us better persons and better leaders. Transparent to everyone, kahit dito. Ilalabas ko lahat ang ugali ng bawat isa sa amin. Dahil kung hindi mo kaya magsakripisyo, kasi ang pag-leader, sakripisyo ito. Ikaw ang unang magigising. Ikaw ang unang pupunta. Ikaw ang last na aalis. Pag may kainan, ikaw ang unang hindi kakain. Pag nawala yung kapagkain, hindi ka nakakain talaga. Ganun ang mag-leader. Pag may gastusan, siyempre ikaw ang unang gumastos. Ganun talaga. You want to be sa sacrifice of it. So, sa akin, pero parang parte lang ng buhay. Maniwala kayo ito. Enjoy ko eh. Wala sa akin ganito. Nasa nila. O di, ngayon, nasabi ko sa inyo, na doktor ako, na wala akong pilitan, di piso, ngayon ko lang nilabas ito. Diba? O di, o sino? Sila. 6 cents. These are little battles that you win. Maniwala kayo ito. They're not affecting even the borders mo to more sacrifice mo for that.
Next question from Mr. Rodilios of RBC Cable.
Good morning, Bob, at sa lahat ng Department Head. Sir, tamay-samay sa nasumbatan ng naging issues and concern na. Ang nakatapay ti sa pulong na ito sa bitayo mo ng di LDIP tayo, di na bisa katisumbi daw na. Expectaron tayo kada tisumba doon tayo.
Re-enacted tayo. I don't know. Depende sa kanila. Siguro, what's the next? This is unprecedented. First time namin kung experience this is ang maganda dito, hindi na ako maka-answer ng mga pagkukulang ng provincial government. Si Vice Book, saka yung mga sa kanyang palalambigan. Dalawa lang naman ang hindi pumirma doon eh. Si Board Member de Asis at si Board Member Sero. Yung iba, nanirmaan na. Alam nyo na, kung sino. Meron lang naman pasimple eh. O, sasabihin ko sa mga kapitan, hindi papadala mo sa ito, hindi kayo binirmaan. Para alam nyo. Diba? Sasabihin ko rin siya, nagdaktaran, taga Santo Niño, wala na yung bridge nyo, o ayaw pirma. Ano lang naman eh.
Yun ang susunod na tanong ko sir, kasi yung kilimang bridge natin, kung wala tayong counterpart, wala na.
Wala ka problemahin doon, akong bahala doon. Hindi limited si Manuel Mamba dito sa probinsya ng Cagayan. Hindi ako naging secretary for nothing. I just talked with Secretary Vivian. I was there last week. Pinag-uusapan na namin kung paano yung FS mo, pinag-uusapan na namin yung pagpasok ng budget for 2018. The FS for 2017 and 2018. Ang Kalahin Bridge. Dalawa, tatlong bridges siguro. I was just there. Eh, Sekretary Tugatan eh, pinag-uusapan din namin. Yung club leaders report. Ano problemahin? Hindi lang ako dito umaasa. Hapon, usap ko lang si Secretary Labor. Sabi niya, ito, dahil kailangan mo, farm to market road. Ay, Jim, muha ka na? Oo. Ano yung pirmahan ko na? Wala. Para makita nila kung ano yung pirmahan ko. Jim, 200 million lang naman ang farm to market road ko ito kaya. Kaya
Abang hinahanap po yung paper mga bigaw sa bibigay ng dole na 200 million farm to market roads. Ay, OPAP. Mr. Manager Cadel Trillas of
we
DCC.
also talk about the international airport. Pinag-usapan na rin namin with PAA, yung proposal natin, and then taking it seriously. Because yung Tuigraw airport natin, hindi na natin pwede i-upgrade ito yung international airport. Since we want an international airport on the part of Luzon. Meron silang international airport doon sa Lawa. E kung konti tao sa Lawa, bakit hindi naman dito sa Cagayan ang Isabela area? Eh ayaw naman nila yung lalo kasi napakalayo. Sabi ng mga tiga Isabela, sir, bakit namin yan? Baka ma-ambush pa kami pagpunta dyan. Isa pa, private yun. Isa pa, wala pa accreditation ng itaap dahil substandard. So, dito Tuigraw Airport. So, ang sabi namin, ang Tuigraw Airport, pwede natin ibenta. Gawin natin, na-develop natin sa isang property developer. 53 hectares yan. Gawin natin the new city site. And then, we will transfer it in the Piat, Solana, Tuaw, boundary. Gumawa tayo din ng international airport kahit na 500 hectares. Laki-laki dun. So, they are now entertaining it. Sabi nila, we were preparing for 10 years. We are preparing for the next 50 years. So, kinupan nila. Sino-consider nila yung sa KAA, the Ministry Department of Transportation, Hospitality Department. Because they know, alam-alam na dito sa Tugigraw, wala ka naman na, sabi ko sa kanila, Tugigraw, almost half of Tugigraw is flood prone and erosion prone. So the only place na pwedeng maging new city site, financial, commercial, and residential is the airport. Kaya ilabas mo yung airport, magkakaroon ka ng new city sites, 53 hectares. And then, may i-improve pa natin. Kasi sabi nila, go, meron na tayong point doon, kung night, ano gano'n, may mga improvement. Ito yun ang gusto, sabi ko, okay lang sa amin yun, wala problema. Pero kung hindi rin lang naman magiging international airport siya, domestic airport lang siya, what for? We need an international airport. ayaw naman kita sabihin na nalinda na payaw yung lando. Ang layo sa amin nun. Kasi pag naging international airport ka, domestic airport ka rin. Alam naman pupunta ka sa Tugigra, pupunta ka pa sa lando, pupunta ka sa Santiago City ka. So, these are things that are happening even at this point in time. Kahit yung mga bridges natin, maniwala kayo. At yung tourism natin. Sabi ko, ang daming gusto pumasok dito. Kanina lang, pumunta sa atin, yung Koreano, gusto nila i-dredge yung Cagayan River. Tapos ibenta na yung black sand sa kanila. Hanggang usapan natin yan, sabi ko, tawagin ko yung mga anti-mining advocates, tawagin ko yung kaparian, tawagin ko lahat. Because this time, ang dredging nyo is kanilang river. Let's all discuss. Ayoko lang na sabihin nila pumapayag ko sa black sand tayo. But since there is a black sand there, na pwede mo ibenta, pwede mo ibenta. Pero sa kanino pupunta yun, sino mo cooperate, sino mo, gusto ko, open tayo lahat. Sabi ko, I think if you are transparent about all of these things, kahit ano for the good of the province, bukas ang mga tao. Hindi ako takot. Ang importante, hindi yung bulsa ko. Importante, para sa probinsya natin. If that will dredge the entire... In fact, about federalism, I just wanted to know about federalism. Kasi, palagi ang padala sa akin ni Amy Marcos ng backnet in Longganisa. Meron po na. Federalism na yun. Gusto niya siguro maging first regional governor or first state governor. Kasi pag nagkaroon ng federalism sa United States, and they want one state to be composed of CAR, Region 1 and Region 2. Sabi ko naman, I will support federalism, but I want the state to be just Region 2. Hindi ko Region 2 lang. Bakit natin sasali yung sarili natin sa Ilocos? Anong problema ng Ilocos? Pag nagka-problema tayo dito, bakit? Sabi ko, what will keep us together always is our problem. And our problem, our boon and bane in Region 2 is the Cagayan River. The Cagayan River provides us livelihood, provides us water, but it also destroys our lives and our properties. Ang number one problema natin is the Cagayan River. Ano sinasabi ko? Ang solusyon ng Cagayan River is not solely for Cagayan to solve. Ang solusyon niya, depende sa dami ng tubig, ng ating Isabela, ng Vizcaya, dahil sa Sierra Madre, dahil sa Porteriano. So, ang gusto ko, state tayo because our problem will find us together. Kung si Ayon Marcos, naging state governor natin, pag nag-mistake ito, last ko lang sa akin. Pero kung dito tayo sa Pilipino. So, I'm working on that. Nausap ko ng mga kaibigan ko sa Vizcaya. Sabi ko ba sa kanila, I still have one month in mind already who will lead us in the region. Sabi ko, ang first state governor natin na gusto ko, this is my choice. Sabi ko, si Bebot Benyo, sabi ko, siya lang naman ang kaibigan ni Presidente dito sa atin. Let's rally behind him so that we will have a state governor in the person of Bebot Benyo and we will have the region as well. Because what will bind us together is our problem about Cagayan. Why am I saying this? All of this? Because ang sinusolve natin, hindi lang yung problema bukas, problema ng mga anak natin, mga apo ko natin. Kita kaya mo na, makita nyo rin. Malakti na malakti. Diba? Kailan to na ground. Yung matigpapayag ka, namabalanin. Kung bakit namabalag, dapat i-city government at sapsapon ka, relocation site. Diba? Tando tayo, nadakpin na awan to, tinamabalanin, na kumakata kayo. Even at this point in time, we need to talk about that. To relocate. Dahil kasi nandun mo ba, magkakay na tayo, makita yun. J. Enrique, pabayagin, hindi tayo katuwang monitoringan, kung bakit nga na, ialis mo ito yung sentro, mawang pagbalinan na ito, iba, magbakay namin ito yung na, o, dapat. At least, because we have to think about all of these things. Ganun din yung gusto natin gawin dito. Diba? Bakit ko itong Kapitolyo na-anticipate ko rin na in due time, yung Kapitolyo natin will have to be transferred. Sabi ko, the sub-Capitol will stay here, the crowd services will stay here. Because in due time, ang Tubigra will become an independent city. And if it becomes an independent city, we do not even vote for provincial officials anymore. Kasi kung kayo ng governor, kung gusto mo Tubigra, may boto sa. So ako lang, ialis kayo dyan pa, dalo. Iso ni sentro. Hindi yung sub-Capitol, sulit ialis dito. Nagkapunta ng kapilang dito. May pagkakitaan tayo dito. Anya, namitin kayo ang commercial. Tapos aming kikita na, mapagilan ng provincial. Gusto ko nila hindi magastos, papunta, mabilis. Kung close yung mind nila dito, lang pangilang. Sinasabi ko, let us keep knowledge. Let us have plans, not for ourselves, but also for our children, our children's children. If they take it, good. Kung hindi naman, at least, nakakata. Noong pa, sinasabi ko, pag-isipan nila yung Tubigra, maraming tao dito, ang mawawalan mga bahay. Aming takatakdapan, aming takatakdapan. Yanis yung ito ganita, pangiyagin sa inyo, nakakata. Patay na yun, sabi at na-revocation sa atin. When I was congressman, JAG, nagtatak 5 hectares sa revocation site. Hanggang tayo nagagamit ng hectares. Abulong, nagtatak revocation site, 6 hectares. 4, Bakulog. Mas, ganito ako mag-isip. Hindi ko nangyayari. Bakit hindi ko isipin? Yung problema ko rin pagdating araw. Problema ng mga anak din natin. I should be not discuss about all this. Bakit tayo takot sa responsibilidad? Bakit tayo takot sa pwede natin gawin? Diba? Problems, maniwala ko sa will always put us together. No, happy, hati-hati. At kwarta niya ako, kikita tayo dito, yawan. Yawan tayo kwarta. Wala, was kila sa pamilyano. Kung na pakari kwarto na, masiringan din siya, yawan. Kanya-kanyang lakad. So, nawan ako kwarto, masiringan din. So, ako kabrawan. So it's the problems that we keep us together. We have a lot of problems in the province that has discussed. Ang dami natin sa resolution out of these funds. So 3.4 billion natin ang kwarta. So sulitin yung PEO, pwede di ba rapid with, na ma-complete niya. Sabihin mo na.
Provincial Engineer Bessie Flores.
Kung mapas din natin yung supplemental budget na tinutupos namin, may 1 billion. Yung makagawa natin, makonkreto natin, ng provincial government.
I think here with me out of the 423 kilometers provincial road, as mentioned by the governor a while back, that we still have around almost 238 unpaved roads, provincial roads. With this, we propose under 2017 Kalsada, but as mentioned by the governor, what we cannot push through with this implementation of 328 million worth given from the national government without any single peso counterpart from the province, without the implementation of Kalsada 2016, which is today awaiting for the approval of our provincial counterpart amounting to 43.5. And it covers, that 2016 Kalsada covers around 11.32 kilometers out from our almost 238 kilometers. For our 2017 lined up Kalsada with Kalsada funds, or we call it now CMGP, this is a conditional matching grant for provinces. We could cover or concrete pave around 27.53 to get out from the 328 million coming from CMGP. Then we had already submitted to the Sangguniang Panlalawigan around almost 27.53 kilometers of our road for concrete paving. And line up with this out from our realized budget or under the supplemental budget. I was tasked also by the Honorable Governor to present at least almost 27 kilometers to be concrete paved road. Provincial road. So with this, out of the 237.8 kilometers unpaved road, it will only be, if this proposed concrete paving of these unpaved roads will push through, then we will only have around 126 out of what 238, almost 238 unpaved provincial roads that will be unpaved anymore. So, yun po yung proposal po na nakaline up, proposal po ni Honorable Governor na nakaline up.
For this coming year, because masisiredo tayo ng more than 100. 101. 112.
Bali, 112, sir. Out of
112 kilometers
238.
ang kaya natin. Importante lang, pass natin ito. Pass natin yung supplemental. 112 kilometers na. Ewan ko kung sino kagayano, ayaw mag-konkreto. Kung gusto nila, sila makontrata. Wala akong problema. Hindi ako mamimili ng kontraktor. Sila na makontrata para sila kayo kontraktor. Gawin lang natin. Because we miss all of these things. We would finish 112. Nandiyan yung pera. So, kaya natin gagawin ito. These are the effects of not passing this. And the blame is not laid on me. Nasa kanila na.
The next question from Manager Cadel Trillies of DCC.
Sir, pinagdiskitahan po yung POP dahil ilang beses daw na hindi yata sumipot nung ipapatawag para pagtanungan doon sa mga tulong sa barangay. Anong dahilan bakit hindi po pumunta yung opisyal ng POP? Kasi ito po yung pinagdiskitahan na ewan ko ilang beses yata ang pinatawag, ni Anino daw hindi nakikita.
Yes, sir. Para sagutin po yan, ang dalawang beses po tumawag ang ating sanggunian, ang sekretarya ng sanggunian. Ang dahilan po natin dyan, nung unang tawag po nila, tayo po ay nasa Bagao. Tayo po ay umiikat para ipaliwanag yung guidelines sa implementation itong sa FA nila. Yung pangalawang tawag naman po ng ating sekretarya ng sanggunian, nasa Santa Praxedes din po ako. Kausap ko mga barangay captain po doon na tatanggap na ng kanilang financial assistance. Kaya yung mga pagkakataon na tinawagan po tayo, hindi natin magawang makabalik agad para umattend ng succession.
Next question. Sa budget, even in the House, no? Naging congressman din ako ng 12 years. Schedule yan. Hawak-hawak ko na ka-schedule kung kailan ko pupunta bawat department. Ganun yun. Magkakakuan lang yun kung may mga prior to anything. Alagi ka binibigyan yan. Kung may changes, binibigyan mo. Kaya alam mo kung kailan ka maka-update. Hindi pwede panaka-naka, tatawag ka na lang, tatawag ka sila rito. Kasi sabi ko sa nila, maka-attend lang kayo. Attend lang kayo. Kahit na, huwag lang naman nila ipapahiya yung mga department. Ano ang importante sa akin? Hindi ka lang pinapahiya. So, I have instructions to all my department heads. Huwag ka lang kayo mag-capture dyan, pagkakalim. Pero, ang one issue niya mas schedule. O, department na ganito, department dito sa araw na ganun kami sa house. 12 years akong congressman. Alam ko kung kailan ka maka-appear, anong oras, talaga ito, anong venue. para nakahanda na sa lahat sa questions na answer. So, pati yung congressman alam niya kung kailan siya interesado, kung meron siyang tatanong sa Department of Agriculture. Alam niya kung kailan siya pupunta. You don't have to be there. Kung wala kang question sa Department of Transportation, you don't have to be there. Alam lahat ng regional directors na. So, dapat ganun. Systematic dapat din sila. Na hindi yung tawagin mo nga sa ganito, at yung sa ganito, madidisrupt ang ating kapatawag mo yung doktor ng buwan, ng tuwaw, doktor ng bansaka, bigyan mo siya ng oras. Kung kailan mo siya gusto ko usapin kung may questions. Ganun ang budget deliberation. Hindi dahil kontrolado mo, dahil aanin lahat sa'yo, sasabihin mo kailan mo gusto. So, kasi itong mga department heads at lalong-lalo ngayon, alam niyo naman yung epekto ng ating lawin. The effects of lawin is up to now. Ang complete electrification natin was only completed March. 5 months na walang interest. Ang napakarami ng barangay. So, up to now, kita niyo naman. So, ang sinasabi ko dito, dapat yun, alam nila, bibigyan na nila, makaposta doon kung kailan makapit. Hindi yung papatawag ka lang. Ganito na. Hindi ganito. Kasi i-distorbohin mo kung bureaucracy. Lalo sa atin, may 24/7 tayo. May hospital tayo. So, lahat yan dapat i-schedule. Well, sorry kung hindi sila nakapunta, pero problema din naman lahat. In fact, even we go from office to office pa dito because I wanted everyone to be provincial capital to be members of Penconsa. At to ma-feel that how it is to be part of the community doon sa baba. Sabi ko sa kanila, kaya enjoy nyo. Kaya i-bloom kayo, purpurok nyo, makita nyo. You are very valuable in your job. And the Pulong organization is very valuable so kasi so sana kung hindi ko rin next time 2 or 3 days beforehand alam ka lang na ipapatawag ko na yung schedule. In fact, kung nangyayari pa doon sa amin doon sa house kung hindi na konsulada balik ka ulit sa ganito i-defer na-asar sila sa'yo, i-defer nila. Matanda sa doon, tapos na. Pagkabalik kita next time. But there is a schedule. There should be a schedule prior para yung court bill, hindi rin siya mag-i-schedule on that day. Otherwise, these people work every day and these people are assigned anywhere also, in any way. So siguro, hindi lang nagka-misunderstanding.
Mr. Ed de los Santos of Bomboradio Tugigan.
Magandang hapon na po sa ating po lahat. Go, nais ko lang malaman dahil dun sa kanilang regular session na kahapon, hinihintay na lamang po yung kung pagpasa po natin sa nila, nasa inyo po yung bola. So, nais ko din po malaman kung kailan po ba natin isasabit dun sa legislative for gagawin na lang po nila is marathon committee na lang po. Then, isa pa, doon sa ano po yung dahilan, bakit meron po final na graph laban doon sa dati po tulad ng gano'n.
Pero ano, it's the first question mo. Pinigyan ako ng kwan na sinuli sa akin yung LDIP, yung sabihin. Gusto nila, ibahin ko yung LDIP. Yung may iba. I said my piece, ito yung budget ko. Ang gawin nyo lang, isagalan nyo kung ayaw nyo. Diba? Kinagtuan ko. Binigit ko na sa akin, total yung ayaw, sa store ko yung branch na. Huwag na natin bigyan kayo ng 3 million, yung kapital, huwag yung 500,000, o yung, diba? Ganun yung gusto nyo lang gawin ko, I never do that. I am the governor. I represent the executive department. I have a vision for the province. But it's up for them kung supportahan nila yun. Diba? Ang point lang nila is legislation. Yung ledak na sinasabi nila, we will only talk of legislation. Diba? Hindi yung gusto nila. Yung development, nasa PPC yun, nasa LBC, nasa barangay, development council, kaya nga umaakyat para masasala para pagdating dito, pagpagod siya na lang gagawin. Ewan pa rin yung pangitay naman na, hindi pwede. So, sa akin, I'm willing to accept pag nila dito sa LBIP. Which means, ayaw din nilang. Diba sakit yung mga pinaglalagay nila dito. Nung pupunta sa akin 2 beses, ang pinag-uusapan lang namin yung budget nila. Sabi nila, kailangan namin na ganito, kailangan namin yung budget ng 2016 plus 10%. Hindi nga ako pinapayag. Sabi nila, pinag-uusapan lang natin yung kung ilang kaswa ng bawat board member, ilang kaswa ng iba, gusto na 200 yung kaswa. Ayaw ko pa. Ito na. Nakita ko na, yung nangyari sa labas. Nandiyan sa Office of the Vice Governor, isang tao, 70 yung binibidro niya ng upuan. Should they learn from the lesson? Si Vice Governor nila doon. Nakakaso at na-convict na sa administrative case na. He's successfully disqualified and run for office. Should they run the bill? Under investigation na rin yung mga cross-employees dito. And sought the help of the NBI para sila makakahuli yun. Tulad dito sa Office of the Governor, at 200 na tao, isa kumukuha ng sahod nila. Totoo ba yun? Ibaal ka lang lahat. Hindi na sila pumupunta dito, dinadala yung sahod nila. 200, isang tao. So, papayag pa ako sa ito. Kaya sabi ko nga sa kanila, maghanap kayo ng boss employee, kahit isa, mag-resign mo as well. Kung naman sa kaso, I find the case against ang buong tungkol dun sa paseo. I'll give you a copy. Kasi yung paseo, dati-rati, was already earning 26 million. At tingin ko, hindi pa yun ang talagang earning na 26 million annually. Pinalis nila at 9,900,000 for 1 million. Eh, kumikita niyo yung 26 million. Nung tinitignan ko yung mga papeles, alam nyo ba, nasa paseo noon, sa isang floor, pagkatabi ng mga locators na tawag ko ito, tenants. Yung ito, ang list niya, 400 pesos per square meter per month. Yung katabi niya, 3,900 per square meter per month. Yung katabi na naman niya, 2,500 per square meter per month. Magkakatabi, iba-iba. Paano lang yan? Pero kung doon ka, mangala, at bayan, willing to pay 3,900 per square meter per month, bakit mo ibigay for 20 years ng 171 per square meter per month? 117 pala pesos. Yun, yung list nila, 117 pesos per square meter per month. Hindi isulat ako operate at may bayad ng 3,900 per square meter per month. And then, 20 years na ikita, renewable after 20 years. Handa ko sila dito. Handa ka i-bid. Nakadumit interesado. O, di ba? O, manuti kaya, 200 per square, 500, 700, pwede na kumain ka dyan. Tapos, dapat 1 year or 2 years lang, hindi 20 years. So, tingnan nyo sa ulit, 20 years na yung beruray, buti sa hindi tayo makita. I filed a case of conversation. It's a ombudsman, may video copy of my complaint. Kung dito rin ang complaint, I also filed a case of innocent person. Merong baril, yung provincial government natin, in-issue kay naka-MRT governor, nahuli sa piyak. Ayaw na ibalik. Nahuli sa piyak na yun, tinutok ng isang tao, sa isang kernel, ginagaw ng kernel, yung baril, tinignan yung serial number, naka-MRT Governor Antonio, bakit nandun? So, ngayon, hinahanap natin, ilang baril. Sumulat sa atin, yung PNP. Sumulat sila sa akin dahil meron daw tayo mga 87 na baril na hindi pa nakalisensya. Natapon na yung lisensya yun. Hindi tayo yung 87 na paltong, habit na 87, 40 plus lain. Mapugpukaw dito tuma. Hindi kita 29 na AK-47, limang Northeast, Norinco na sniper rifles na iba. Awan po, may misa. Awan ti MR na, awan ti ang damit tinatakit doon. Ngayon, nakanagan namin ti provincial government. Nasaan yung baril na yun? Natatakot ko, baka mamaya nasa NPA na yun. O mga gamit sa hall na, o ano. 29 AK-47 and 5 na sniper rifle. Mawawala. So, we will find a place. Thanks these people. At yung investigation na gado, ito. So, sa polling ang video copy sa ating mga copies. Ayaw mo sana mag-file ng kaso pero pinahilat dito sa dahil kinuha ko raw si Bobot na consultant natalo naman sa eleksyon. Sabi ko naman, bakit sa FFDA lahat ng consultant nila mga natalong governor? Siguro hindi bawal, ano? O, tapos, pinasuhan din ako for being late sa pagsabit ng budget. Sabi ko, how could I not be late? Pinakaan tayo ng lawin. Problema pa natin nung lawin tayo, wala pa kang computer, wala pa. Sabi ko nga, tuliro tayo lahat, sa totoo lang. Hindi nga ba rin sa tuliro, kawawa naman ito, bakit kaya na, kaya ito sa ulit, wala ito hararin ni budget, kundi at save ng tao. Wala ito, pati budget, kasi report siya nato. Nung mapagod ito, pakikitain na, ito problema tayo. Ang nakiusap ko sa kanila, maliliit yung budget ko. May pinasuhan ako. Maliliit ako sa budget. Ay, defend myself. Sa mabag sa pera. So, kahit ikaw kasi ayaw nilang pangkinin yung pinakaman sa pera. Ayaw nilang reforma.
Last two questions. Ms. Dina Villacampa of Radyo ng Bayan, DWD.
Good afternoon, Gov. Nasagot na yung unang tanong ko regarding sa case na sinapa against you. Gusto ko lang pong ma-follow up yung nabanggit na kanina yung international airport, bridges, and now yung seaport, yung plan po sa Claveria.
Ang seaport na yan, ang mayroong talagang plano dyan is Secretary Tugapi himself because he is from Claveria. Pero when I was invited to be there, nung pumunta siya doon, nakita ko, together with John Yopis, mga order, nakita namin the potential of Claveria. So sabi namin sa kanya, Sir, bakit maliit ang pagawa niyo? What, 30 to 60 million lang? Why not talk about an international seaport nito? Sabi ko, sir, yung CESA will never become an international seaport. Mababaw. In fact, I am asking NEDA, sino magsasabi na nasa atin dito sa Cagayan na yung CESA na yan will never become an international seaport? Noong ko kasi nasabi, it's a hoax, kalokohan. Gumawa sila ng breakwater, worth 5.1 billion. Dumating si Iken, nawala na yung breakwater. Nag-close na yung ating oil depot sa Aparri. Hindi na makapasok ang petrol, ang Caltex, lahat doon. They could have easily transferred that to CESA. Bakit hindi may transfer doon? Kasi hindi makapasok ang malalaking barko. Ang pinakamalaking barko na pumasok dyan is 9,700 tons. Ang malalaking barko na para sa grains, para sa oil is 200,000 tons. Kaya para sa akin, fishing port lang yun. Fish port at cruise. But an international seaport could be possible in Claveria. Nakita namin, sabi ni Juan sa akin, sabi ni Secretary, Manny, sabi niya, you come to Manila, help me justify. Siguro nahiya siya na President Duterte. Kasi he has been out from Liberia for 40 years. Ngayon lang siya makabalik din. In fact, wala na yung mother niya doon, wala na yung kapatid niya, umalis siya, elementary lang siya. Pero he is trying to get back at his roots. So sabi niya, nahiya siguro siya magsabi na kay Presidente na para sa Cagayan. So you help me justify that. Kaya pumunta kami doon, we told him about the problem. That is why I'm also asking Neta now kung anong plano na dyan sa CESA. Dahil para sa akin, 22 years old na, 25 years old na yung CESA. Kailan siya magiging international seaport? Kailan tayo makakakita ng malalaking barko dyan? Kung talagang maganda yung barko dyan, gusto nilang yung cruise. Bakit pati yung cruise ship hindi makapasok dyan? Diba? They could have easily put yung cruise ship dyan. Bakit? I'm challenging them. And tell me that will work as a seaport. Loko tayo dahil at aming kaya ang kalokohan dyan. Nandyan si Atong Ang, nandyan si Wang Po, nandyan si Jack Lam, nandyan si Kim Wong. Sino ba? But argument denied. I asked ma'am, I was impressed kung magkano na ibigay nila for the past 25 years. 58 million. Ha? CESA. 27 million ang pinita natin for 25 years.
Kita ng Paris, 20 million.
Ngayon, ang kita ng quarry natin, kano?
20 million plus.
22.6.
22.6 million. 1 month lang yun.
24.
Ha? Okay, 3 months. Gross.
Okay, the last question from Mr. Tudao of KBU.
Sir, magandang araw. Mag-isama kayo. Sir, dito sa pangyari, hindi po pagpasa doon sa budget, din sa pagsampa sa konsenyo ng kaso. Ano po yung assessment po natin dito? Mukhang ayaw nila ata yung ginagawa nyo na pagbabago sa Cagayan. Parang mayroon pong aftershocks ata o kaya dita ng mga entry dito sa mga hindi po nagpasa, no? Hindi man natin nababanggit, subalit matagal na po yung Cagayan na inasama-asama yung pagbabago, subalit ngayon at nandyan kayo, parang ayaw. Ano po yung masasabi po natin?
Sa akin, it's not surprising. Because the entire opposition naman ng provincial sanggunian natin, wala naman ako kasama sa politika dyan. Sa totoo lang. Si Rudo Diasis, kasi lang ito, nagkatwa kami na ito. Si Resuelo was never my political ally. Never. Ngayon lang yung election. Kaya nga, ako mismo, hindi ko rin sila pwedeng force. Pero tayo. Eh, yung iba naman dyan, diba? So sa akin, what should bind us together is the interest of the province. Kaya nga sabi ko, ayaw ko akong sumikat, okay, walang problema. Hindi na ako tatakbo. I will promise you, gawa tayo ng plan. Pero pagpigil ako sa gusto kong mangyari sa gobyerno. Pa-arrange lang natin yung mga ito. Sistema dito. Hindi ko kailangan yung posisyon ko, magwala ko sa akin. Ang gusto ko lang, pagandahin lang natin yung natin sa mga. Kung takot sila sa politika, baka sulitan ako dito, ay hindi na ako tatakbo, sa totoo lang. Pero, siyempre, mga kandidato ako. Para huwag ko na sabihin personal. Kaya, I will go as far as that. Para mapaganda lang natin yung potential. Kasi, kawawa ito potential natin. Ganito na ganito. Eh, wala kasi ako makita ng rason. Anong ayaw nila dito sa budget na ito? Ano yung iba-tida? Baka na hindi iba.
Sir, yung mga dinedemand po ng SP, sa inyo po, willing po kayo para sa ganun ay, total, hindi naman po ata, pwede pa naman nila ata tatalakayan po itong budget po natin.
Tama po sa kanila, it's their fault. Something. Sila nagpadala ng kwan eh. Ayaw namin ito kay PPDO mo. Ano po ba? Rasotan ko lang. Diba, it's their fault. It's not mine. Hindi sa akin ang bola. Hindi ang bola. Sinabit ko na yung bola. Pinasa ko na nga yung bola. Eh, binalik sa akin yung bola. Flat pa yata yung bola. Ano kakay ko kayo? Wala kayo. Nagawat asmat. Nasa kanila eh. Alam ka naman magpapakaawa ako doon. Naman sabi ko, sige, bigay ko na ito. Hindi ko nga kaya bibigay. Hindi ko kaya bibigay yung hinihingi nila. Na the office of the governor, kailangan may 200 na job order. Hindi ko kaya. Anong gagawin ng 200 na job order ko? Yung sekretary doon, may sariling job order. Hindi mo kaya bibigay yun. There are limits of how I can, at least I can compromise. Nag-alis to, kaya ko lang. Sige, okay. Paano yung reforma ang gagawin natin? Nagpapaka-honest kami dito. Nakatrabaho kami ng gusto. Tapos doon, nakaupo na doon, maghihintay ng sweldo. Ay, may magkakit tao. Kita kayo ba? Eh, nakikita tao na po, pagkantsawan na. Kapay, nagano trabaho mo. Kasi kami na-enjoy kada 15, 30, sweldo kami. I don't want that. Gusto ko, enjoy natin yung erang kinikita natin dahil pinagpapahuran. Wala kayo, ma-enjoy nyo ang pinagpahuran nyo. Iba yung enjoyment mo sa pinagpahuran. Iba. Nagsakripisyo ka. Iba. Sarap ng tulog mo, sarap ng tingin ng tao sa iyo, sarap ng relationship mo sa... Ewan ko. Pero ganun ang fulfillment ko, wala nang pumasok ako sa politika. Hindi yung perang hinahawakan. Ako, enjoy ako na takot sila manili sa akin pag hindi ka kami. Enjoy ako na halos mag-bless si Anjong sa akin. Because I never tasted this money. Enjoy ako pag pinakadjut yung kernel na magkakapag-target mo, kaabot ka, kaya nasa makuha sa akin, gano'n. Enjoy mo. As I earn the respect. Enjoy ko, sabihin ni Duterte, I commend the governor of Cagayan. Yun ang enjoy ko. Kasi siyahan, yun ang enjoy. Ito, sarap. Ang sarap ang feeling lang sa akin. Hindi pa kami ng pera kung wala.
Last final question na talaga from Ms. Jessica Bagod of Manila Standard.
Good afternoon, everyone. Governor. Good afternoon, everyone. Governor, regardless of the pre-enacted budget programs and projects for the Cagayanos, which really would be beneficial to us Cagayanos.
Yeah. Ako, update na ako yun. Noong ginayawan nila ito, update na lang ako. Hindi sa ano. Pinapakita niyo yung klase niyo. Hindi yung klase. Hindi ba kayo enjoy na na-unmask natin yung mga totoong nagmamahal sa ating probinsya? All of these things will unmask all of us. Anong klase natin? Ako, enjoy ko kasi this will introduce reform, this will be internalized by every Cagayan. Nag-suffer kayo ng gusto na makakataklang tumote. Kasi ito yung leaders tayo, naging corrupt na naging makastos na mga election. Involved dito na yung sa kayo, pero dito yung drugs. Diba? It's all because of the greed for money and power. Now, slowly, ma-unmask. Enjoy ito. Because mas lalo makikita ng tao natin na kailangan talaga ng reforma ng policy. Nakikita ko sino yung mga obstructions, nakikita ko sino dapat yung pangyayahan, nakikita yung hindi dapat ng this is good enough for all of us. Hatay tayo the sad part of this exercise. We look at the plus side of this exercise. At ganito, hatay mo nga nagkakasto yung pasakay sa dito. Hatay ma-enjoy, hatay ma-discuss, yung klase ito gagawin sa akin. And then you're sold down. Let them explain to people why. Ito yung pagkalay po. Yung nasasabihin mo sa tao, si Red Head kasi hindi nag-attend, walang yayang bago niya, di ba? Yun ba ang rason para hindi mo ipasagot? Si Manuel Mamba kasi, na-late kasi. January na, hindi pa niya ito. Hindi na ito pinasa. Yun ba? Andyan pa kasi si Bopot natalo na nga. Bakit andyan pa? Dapat nasa bukay na yan. Zumba. Diba? Hindi yun. Dahil ba? Tayo kailangan. Sila yun, ma-animas tayo ng isa-isa. Ang nila gusto na nagmamahal sa ating tayo. I enjoy this because kahit kapatid. And those people behind them, nangyayama na rin ng tao. Di ba? Di magpalagay ka, di magpalagay ka. O yun, complete pa rin yung jacket na rin. Mabasa nyo. Sa bagay yung short at katadwa. Dahil yun, I was telling them, yung laban natin hindi pa tapos, pahaba pa ito. And do not put down every days in one election. There will be more. Kaya nyo naman wala. Oo. Mabalik ito. Kailan tayo, when will we learn of this? Hindi naman, ipakita tayo katapada na yung delivery ng services natin will never wait that despite of the RPC. Pakita tayo katapada na may determination tayo to make changes and reforms in our province. Mas lalo. Hindi, maniwala mo, hindi sa ganda ng sasakyan o sa dami ng kolorete na dyan sa mga. Kahit yung suot mo, kahit mahal yung suot mo, kung demonyo yung mukha mo.
Yung national media, sa
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
ay
Mag-alian po tayo at pumunta tayo.
Relax. Thanks, relax.